aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
They got the wrong guy, and the dog was biting him.
He roughing him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
9 out of 10 judges prefer watching the Recovery Addict live stream in their courtroom.
The fireworks are not done.
Now we're getting commentary on the case. Dati mihi Anglican praise verbis Latino.
Literally not true.
I didn't ask you to interrupt me.
Is that correct?
Oh, for Trump's sake.
Welcome back to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict. Good to have you here. Welcome, welcome. Come on in, take your seats. I don't know who was first. Oh, yeah, I do. Never mind. Found you. Greeners. Greeners, you're first in chat today. Congratulations. At least this afternoon. We're going to send it to you with internet ownership. That means basically you won't be able to chat much. Yeah. You're going to be busy fixing everyone's problems with the internet because it's now your problem. Their problem is now your problem. Congratulations, Greeners. You can do a great job. Help yourself to download, for the low fee of 50 cents, you can download a certificate of internet ownership from the website. And suitable for framing or use as a cover sheet on your CV. All right. With that, we are getting underway. We just wrapped up just a few moments ago. We just wrapped up the Brian Kober hearing. It was sort of like a 2-day, a day and a half hearing. So that part is done. I think the judge still has some decisions left to make. I didn't hear if he made all the rulings, but at the end he assigned a lot of homework to both sides, and he's like, "Oh, by the way, I don't want any surprises from your experts. so submit everything, overshare is what he said. So everyone gets to go do that." All right, we are back. Thank you, everyone. I see a few of you have already clicked the like button. That is absolutely wonderful. Oh, I'm on the wrong live stream. Nope, very few of you have clicked the like button. That's terrible. You guys are doing a terrible job. Let me go back. Oh, there it is. Oh no, it's not so bad. It just updated. About half of you are doing what you're supposed to. Welcome. We're gonna kick it off here with what was yesterday's occurrence in the not Tennessee versus Chen. I'm still stuck on that case name. We're in West Virginia now, and we're with Natalie Cochran. This is an amazing trial that, as of just before lunch, we found out that the state has arrested. The state has arrested. They are done with their case. They've presented all of the circumstantial evidence which they are going to present in this case, and it is all circumstantial evidence. But they say it's enough. They think the jury can connect the dots and put this together and find her guilty of murdering her husband. And they're saying the whole thing was done because of the Ponzi scheme was coming unraveled, and he was about to find out. I have to say, I struggle with the idea that he didn't know, especially if the state is saying he was the one that was searching out contracts for her to bid on. I just do not believe that he would have all the access to all the contracts they were going to bid on and then not have any access to the public webpage that shows who won the bid. I cannot see that. I think it's possible that he may have had more involvement even if he was trying to pretend like he didn't. But anyway, that either way, involved or not, he's dead and she is charged with his murder, and that's what we're there for. So, all right, we're gonna jump back to court and pick up with this is gonna be Thursday morning, which is our Friday afternoon. It's funny how that works. We're gonna do that here now. Give us just a second to bring up the counter.
Court of Raleigh County is now sitting.
Okay, here we go.
Good morning, all.
Good morning, Judge. How are you doing?
We continue in the trial of State of West Virginia versus Natalie Page Cochran. This is case number 23-F-343K. All parties are present, including the defendant. As counsel is aware, Mr. Selden has been stricken by an illness. He is indisposed today. He may be joining us this afternoon or perhaps tomorrow but he will not be
Mysterious
here
illness.
this morning for certain. I have to confirm with Ms.
Take him
Cochran
to the
on
doctor
the
right
record
now.
that she is comfortable with going forward with one of her attorneys absent. And I ask you directly, Ms. Cochran, is this agreeable with you? Can you go forward with Mr. Victor handling matters in Mr. Selden's absence?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so you waive the presence of Mr. Selden, at least for today's purposes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
And I would ask that it be announced to the jury, Your Honor, so the jury will notice the absence of...
Indeed, I will. I will certainly do that.
I think they're more going to notice the presence of
All
one
right,
attorney than the
are there any
absence
other
of the
matters that we need to take up out of the presence of the jury?
State would ask that the equipment be turned on. We anticipate using it today.
Let's do that right away.
Sweater vest combo.
Thank you.
Looking good. Corey May, congratulations, by the way. You sent us word that the latest x-ray shows that surgery might not be needed, and to thank everyone for their prayers. I appreciate that. That is great news, and thank you for the very generous super chat as well. Thank you.
Yes, bring in the jury, please.
Bring in the jury. Let's ask them about their Chick-fil-A and if they enjoyed their sandwich this morning. I think they did. I mean, who doesn't enjoy Chick-fil-A? It's yum good. Someone check her attorney's blood sugar. That is the funniest comment. How is his blood sugar levels? Oh my goodness. Debbie, I have not been to the post office all week because it's freezing cold outside. It's warming up. Maybe I'll go this afternoon if we finish a little bit early. Not a fan of Chick-fil-A, says Reland. Not everyone is. When I was filming college basketball as a cameraman, on the court side, we're busy, and they'd feed us during the halftime. They'd feed us, and it was the team I was filming for was sponsored by Chick-fil-A, and so every single game it was like just nuggets, those little chicken nugget things, the actual, not like the processed ones, but like the real chicken meat. Just trays.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
Good morning.
I hope you enjoyed your chicken biscuits this morning. I got them a little early, and I didn't realize that they might be somewhat cold by the time you were served. But a cold chicken biscuit is better than none, right?
That's what my mom used to say.
Well, you're very welcome.
No.
Thank you very much for your service, and thank you for being here promptly. The weather is not cooperating. It's freezing cold out there, and you folks are great to be here when you're supposed to. You're very patient and very cooperative. I need to explain to you, we don't have Mr. Selden here this morning. He was stricken with a minor illness yesterday evening. He's going to be okay, but he's indisposed right now. He will not be here this morning. He may be able to join us this afternoon if he feels better, and hopefully he will be here tomorrow. So we will miss him, but just put that out of your mind and don't consider his absence at all in terms of the case. And Mr. Victor will certainly take the lead and proceed on behalf of the defendant. All right. We yesterday evening learned that the state had rested their case, and as I explained to you, they completed the presentation of the state's evidence. Now it is the defense turn to present whatever evidence they would care to proceed with. We will start without further ado with the defense case, and I will ask Mr. Victor to please call his first witness.
The defense will call Brianna Hawley.
Brianna Hawley, first of a handful of witnesses we get to see today. This case is crazy. I'm not sure if the state has convinced me. There are some things that don't match up, that don't add up, but just because the state might be wrong about some of their theory, I've really got to put some thought into this one.
If you'll raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may have a seat right there.
Okay.
All right, if you'll kind of pull that microphone up close, please.
Okay.
Thank you. You may proceed, Mr. Victor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Hawley, would you please state your name for the record, please?
It is Brianna Michelle Hawley.
What do you do for a living, ma'am?
I'm a registered nurse.
Okay. Let me, without any further ado, invite your attention to about 2016 or 2017. What was your profession at that time?
I was a school nurse. I done PRN. I worked at the Beckley VA Medical Center full time, but I did do PRN as a school nurse for Raleigh County Schools.
Okay. Do you know Jennifer Davis?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you know her husband, Christopher Davis?
I know who he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they had a child. They have a child by, I will just use the initials, GD. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes.
Okay. That child was attending school where you were a nurse, right?
Correct.
Okay. Was this child
GD
afflicted with any type
type
of medical problems?
Yes, sir.
What was this child afflicted with?
He had diabetes.
Okay. Type 1?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Since you were a nurse, it's a pretty serious condition.
Very much so.
Does that require, what does it require, the treatment of it or maintenance of it?
So this particular child had an insulin pump to where you can program and it would automatically give insulin. And to the best of my knowledge at that time, he had a continuous glucose monitor, which is also called a CGM.
Okay.
So as a nurse, I would, monitor, provide insulin based off what he ate, and just monitor his care based off his blood sugar.
Do you know Natalie Cochran?
Yes, sir.
How do you know Natalie Cochran?
Natalie is my husband's first cousin.
Okay. Was there a time when Ms. Davis asked you, or at least advised you, what to do in case of any problems with her child's diabetes?
Yes, sir. In case that I could never get a hold of Jennifer or Chris, then Natalie could be a backup for any questions, concerns, or anything like that.
Natalie Cochran?
Natalie Cochran, yes, sir.
And would she be, why was she selected to be the backup plan for the Davises?
My understanding is because they were friends, and Natalie helped Jennifer during his time of his new diagnosis because she better understood it, and she was helped with the plan of care.
Could she administer the medication to this child?
I mean, I'm sure she could. It was through an insulin pump. It was not a syringe, but I'm sure she could have.
Okay. So she was the person empowered by
It was through an insulin pump,
at least
not a
selected
syringe.
by the Davises to be a person who would treat this child or help this child in moment of need as far as his diabetes.
So, I mean, as far as my understanding, yes. It's been so many years ago, I don't know if there is paperwork, but that was my understanding with Jennifer, that Natalie could be a backup.
Okay. That's all the questions I have.
All right, cross-examination.
State has no questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Very well. May this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
So far as the state's concerned, yes, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you,
Witness
Ms.
number
Hawley.
one.
You may step down. You are
Done. I
excused.
never even got her name up.
Call your next
bad,
witness,
sir.
please, Mr. Victor.
I will call Nicole Cochran.
Whoa. Who's coming up? Nicole. Sister? Mom? Daughter? Who do we have here? She's not in the courtroom, whoever it is. Looks like it's the daughter, her daughter. How old is her daughter? Oh.
If you'll raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may have a seat right there.
Would you state your name for the record?
Nicole Cochran.
Ms. Cochran, you have to speak up.
Nicole Cochran.
Louder.
Nicole Cochran.
Can't hear you in the back.
If you could, just scoot up a little bit closer to the mic, and that'll help.
Do you know Natalie Cochran?
Yes.
How do you know her?
She's my mother.
She's your mother. So you've known her all your life, right?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to invite your attention to, let's say, year 2017, somewhere around that area. Who lived in your house at that time?
My mother, my father, myself, and my brother.
Okay. Who is your father?
Michael Cochran.
I know. And I just want you to use the initials only. Who is your brother?
M.A.C.
Okay. Amazing. How old is he?
He's 17.
So, about 5 or 6 years ago, he would have been what? 12, 13?
Yes.
What was your mother's job?
She was a pharmacist.
Okay. Where did she work?
She worked at Access Health.
Okay. Was there a time when she quit being a pharmacist?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember the year?
I believe somewhere between 2016 and 2017, I was in middle school.
Okay. What did your father do for a living?
He worked with technology.
What does that mean?
I'm not entirely sure.
He worked with computers?
Yes.
Okay. What was the purpose of working with the computers? Do you know?
To make money.
Do you know?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Did your mother and your father ever establish any business?
Yes.
What type of business or businesses did they have in 2016, 17, 18? Do you know?
Technology Management Solutions and Tactical Solutions Group.
Okay. The first business, what did it deal with? Do you know?
Technology.
It was a form of federal contracts, I believe, that my father would do for technology purposes.
That your father would do, you said?
Yes.
Okay. What type of contracts are we talking about?
I believe they were federal and state.
Okay. What were they doing in plain terms? Buying, selling, what were they doing?
To my knowledge, they were buying technology and reselling them, I believe. But
And what? Speak up.
Sorry, I believe that they were buying technology and reselling them through bids for the government, but I'm not entirely sure on the specifics.
Okay. Did you ever witness your father prepare any contracts?
I never saw them, but I always saw him working on his computer, and he would say that that's what he was doing.
Say that he was doing what?
That he was filling out contracts.
Okay. Did your mother do that?
No.
Did your father ever talk to you about his job?
Linda, there you are. Thank you so much.
All he would say is that he was doing contracts with the government, but he would never go into too many specifics with me.
Okay.
Because they're worried to me. Oh, did I say that out loud? Sorry.
Did you have a nice lifestyle in 2016, 17, 18?
Yes.
Tell us about your lifestyle at that time.
I would say that we were pretty wealthy. In that time frame, my father had just gotten a new car, and we had some new boats.
Some what?
Some new boats.
Boats?
And there was talk about buying a hangar for a plane.
Whose plane was it?
It was Chris Davis's plane, but I believe my father eventually wanted to have his own.
Okay. How about motorcycles? Your father had some, didn't he?
He always had one motorcycle, but during that time we bought some new ATVs.
Okay, ATVs. How about that 65 Cobra that we heard so much about?
Yes, that was his new car.
That was his new car? How many houses did you guys have?
We had one that we resided in, and then my father had bought and renovated a house for Chris Davis's aunt, and then we were putting an offer in on a new house for ourselves in Flat Top.
Okay. Did your father also buy an office?
Yes.
Where was that?
It was in Beckley, close towards the park and the Armory, down that way.
Was life good at that time? Money was pouring in?
Financially, yes.
Financially, yes. Did you guys take any exotic trips? No, exotic.
We went to Paris, and...
Who is we?
My mother, my father, myself, and my brother. I got asked on a school trip, so they all came as well.
Okay. And whenever you talk about your brother, please use the initials, okay? All right. How long did you spend in Paris?
We were there for 2 weeks, I believe.
It's a good vacation.
You spent a lot of money there?
Yes, my dad wanted to shop a lot.
Okay. What did he shop for?
He mostly wanted to go to luxury stores.
Such as?
Louis Vuitton.
Louis Vuitton. Okay. And did you guys go to Hawaii too?
Yes, but that was when I was in 5th grade. So
okay.
It was years.
Who paid for that, by the way? I mean, who went to Hawaii?
My mother, my father, myself, and MAC.
Okay. And how long did you stay in Hawaii?
I believe it was a week.
Okay. All right. Did you, in about 2017, 18, 19, did you do some extraordinary things that involved a lot of money?
I would say the new purchases of the cars and the boats and things would be the main circumstances.
Okay. Where was the money coming from? Do you know?
My father always said that it was the contracts, so I just never assumed anything differently.
Okay. I want to ask you something about, well, did your father ever let you know what was happening on his computer, what he was doing? Was he ever telling you what he was working on other than the contracts?
No, he only ever referred to them as the federal and state contracts.
Okay. Was he secretive about it?
With me, yes, I would say.
Okay. I want to ask you about your father's health. Was there a time in 2000, well, from the, let's say 2015, 16, when you were in middle school, how was your father doing, health-wise?
He was very agitated and irritated mentally, and he was having a lot of headaches, I would say.
Was he always like that?
No.
No, I'm asking you right now about 2015, 16.
Oh.
Was he normal? Was he abnormal? What?
In that time, he was normal, I would say.
What did he do for fun?
He worked out a lot, and he would participate in, like, tough man competitions.
He won one, didn't he?
He got 6th place and won at the fair.
Oh.
That's worse than second prize in a
Did
beauty
he pull
contest.
a tractor one day or something like that?
He pulled a Hummer, like a military vehicle.
In a competition?
Yes.
Did he win?
No, that was the 6th place.
Oh, that was the 6th place. Did he ever want to be a bodybuilder? Or was he a bodybuilder?
I would say that he considered himself to be, but he never participated in competitions such as that.
Oh, he did. Okay. Did he work out a lot?
Yes.
Did he care about his outward appearance, the physique?
Yes, it mattered a lot to him.
How about the image? Did he care about that a lot?
I believe so.
How so?
He would never leave the house without being fully, like, perfect, I would say. And he wanted everyone to think that he was perfect in a sense and strong, I would say.
Okay. Are you familiar with his medication taking?
Yes.
What was he taking his medication for?
Most of what he took was for gaining muscle, like for working out supplements and things.
Okay. What type of medication was he taking? Do you know?
I know that he took steroids, and he took many other supplements, but I don't know the names of the supplements.
Well, tell us how he did that daily. Did he do it daily?
Yes, every morning.
Every morning. How did he do that?
He would lay all of his pills out on the counter, and there would be so many of them that they would just sit in a whole circle, and it looked like the size of a dinner plate. And then he would scoop them handfuls at a time into his mouth and use the sink water to drain them down. And then he would take the steroids as well.
How many pills were there, just roughly?
Probably around 40 a day.
Whoa.
And you don't know what they were?
No, I remember a lot of them he got from G&C in the mall.
Okay. Where else did he get them from? Do you know?
He said that he ordered his steroids from Mexico.
This is seeming.
But I don't know the specifics on the other ones.
He never explained anything else about that Mexico?
No, at first he didn't really want my brother and I to know, but we eventually realized what they were, and he told us.
What were those pills?
They were vials of steroids that he would get from Mexico.
And what would he do with that?
He would take them through a dropper, usually, in the mornings.
Did he ever inject?
I'm not sure.
Okay. But you saw him use the medication orally and, well, use the dropper, and what did he do with the dropper?
He would just put them in. He would put them in his mouth.
Okay. So that would be also oral.
Yes.
Oral. In about 2017, did you start noticing changes in your father's health?
Yes.
What did you notice?
He was very agitated and angry, more so than not, and he was having a lot of headaches, and he would complain about them frequently, and he wasn't eating as much as he used to.
Did he have back surgery in 2017? Do you remember?
I'm not entirely sure when he had back surgery, but I remember him having it.
Okay. How long did he stay in the hospital for that? Or was it an outpatient?
For the back surgery, I'm not sure.
Okay. Did he like to go to hospitals?
No, he hated them.
What did he tell you about these hospitals?
He considered them to be a waste of his time and that he never wanted to be in one again.
Okay. Was there ever a time that he had to go to the hospital in 2018, if you recall?
Yes.
He went there for one day at the end of October 2018?
I believe so, yes.
Do you know what prompted his going to the place where he apparently hated, such as the hospitals?
The doctors, I believe, thought that he had a brain tumor.
Okay.
I'm not sure what led for him to be there, like the symptoms.
What did he complain about the time when he first went to the hospital in October of 2018?
I believe it was the headaches.
Headaches?
And some dizziness, maybe?
Dizziness? Did he ever lose consciousness?
Not in my presence that I'm aware of.
Do you know of him losing consciousness?
I believe it did happen. He got very dizzy and then just got really out of it.
Okay. He came back later that day or the next day, but then he had to go to the hospital on November the 2nd, right?
Yes.
What was wrong with him then?
I believe it was the same thing.
He stayed 5 days in the hospital?
I believe so, yes.
Did you visit him in the hospital?
Yes.
Obviously.
Obviously.
What did you observe when you were in the hospital?
He seemed kind of out of it, but he was actually really nice. He said some kind things to my brother and I, because he didn't think he would get another chance to.
Is that what he told you?
Oh, man.
He told me that he always appreciated my intelligence, and that he never told me that, but he wanted me to know it now, just in case he never got to say it again.
Did you take it as a farewell to life for him?
I've always considered that to be kind of like my goodbye.
Okay. But he pulled through, and he came home, right?
Yes.
And how did he act and behave after he came back to came back home?
He acted like it never took place, but he was still very angry all the time, and he was still having the same symptoms as before.
Headaches?
Yes, and the dizziness.
Dizziness? Did it ever go away?
Not to my knowledge.
In January of 2019, shortly before his his death, how did he behave?
He was kind of acting crazy.
All right.
He was very upset and angry all the time.
Okay. Was he forgetful?
Yes.
What would he forget?
Just little things throughout the day, like what he was doing or things like that, the date.
Did he appear to be in any discomfort?
He complained about the headaches a lot, and I believe that irritability was a symptom of his discomfort.
Okay. Did he ever go to sleep and stay asleep for a long period of time?
He was always asleep before I left for school, and he would sleep in usually.
Okay. Approaching February of 2019, did his condition improve or did it get worse? Or did it stay the same?
I would say as time went by, it continued to worsen.
Tell us how, from your own observations.
As I've mentioned, just how agitated and irritable and the headaches, they just continued to increase more and more, it seemed like.
Did anybody in your family suggest that he go back to the hospital or a doctor or seek medical help or advice?
Many around him were concerned for him.
And was there a suggestion that he go to the hospital?
I'm not sure, but I remember several people wanted him to stop taking his steroids.
Oh, was he taking steroids at that time?
Yes.
Still a plate full of steroids?
A plate full of the medications and then the vials of the steroids.
Okay. And he was still receiving some of those steroids from Mexico, I take it?
Yes.
And he was taking those vials with the pills?
Yes.
And he still worked out?
Yes, pretty frequently.
Could he work out with all those headaches?
I believe that he still went to the gym, but I don't know the intensity of the workouts as compared to before.
Okay. Was there a time in February, right before February the 6th, that you believe that he felt the worst?
Yes.
What was the, was there any new condition or all the conditions that he had so far worsened? What was happening?
They were worsening and his appetite was continuing to decrease.
So he wouldn't eat?
He would not eat as much as he used to.
Okay. And yet he took the steroids and whatever substances he was using?
Yes.
Anabolics? Was he ever using anabolics? Do you know?
I'm not really sure what anabolics are.
Okay. Do you know any names of the substances that he was using?
No, but I know what they look like.
Okay. Where did he keep those substances?
Above the place on the counter where he would take his medicine, we had 2 cabinets. We had one that was for all of our prescription meds for the family, and his were in there. And then he had a larger cabinet filled with protein powders, supplements, and the boxes of the steroids.
He had his own cabinet?
Yes.
Did anybody have access to that cabinet?
Yes, we could open it, but we knew not to take any of his things.
You couldn't touch any of his things, right?
Yes, unless he told us we could, like for protein powder or something.
Okay. The day before your father collapsed, how did he feel? Do you recall that day?
He was still feeling all the symptoms, the irritability, the headaches, the dizziness, the lack of appetite. But at that point, it just kind of seemed like a normal thing because he had been feeling them for so long.
Was he forgetful more than usual?
Yes, I would say that continued to happen.
What did he forget then? What did he forget?
He
to
would,
do things? What?
Yes, to do things, and he would forget about saying certain things, or I'm trying to remember specifics, sorry.
Okay. The day before your father collapsed was also the day when your mother went to a doctor, right?
Yes.
What was wrong with your mother?
I believe she was sick.
What was she sick with? Do you know?
I think that she was throwing up, if I remember correctly.
That she was doing what? Speak up.
I think that she was throwing up, if I remember correctly. Okay. I'm not entirely sure.
She wasn't exactly a model of health either, was she?
No.
What was wrong with her?
She had been in cancer. She had cancer.
Well, did she have any problems with her heart?
Yes.
Was she on some type of device that is attached to her?
Yes.
To monitor her heart rate and all that?
Yes.
She is still on it until today, isn't she?
Yes.
All right. Well, when she had those heart problems, she went to all kinds of doctors, right?
Yes.
And there was a suggestion that she might be afflicted with cancer at one point, right?
Yes.
Do you know whether she went to Cleveland Clinic for that?
Yes, I believe that was the name of it.
Did they reject her for lack of insurance? Do you know?
I wasn't aware.
Okay. Do you know whether she went to Duke?
Yes.
Okay. And she was seeking cancer treatment from Duke? Is that what?
Yes, they believe she had some type of blood cancer, I think.
Were you concerned about it?
Yes.
No, of course you were concerned about it. Well,
of course.
The day before Michael, your father collapsed, she went to a doctor, and what did the doctor do with her? Did he give her any medication? What do you know about that?
I'm not sure.
Okay. How was your mother acting the day before your father collapsed? How sick was she, to your knowledge?
I believe she was pretty sick.
Okay. You said she was throwing up?
Yes.
Did she have a fever?
I'm not sure.
Did she stay in bed?
Yes, that wasn't uncommon, though, with the cancer for her.
All right. She was supposed to fly to Virginia the next day, right? Did you know anything about that?
I can't recall.
Okay. How did she feel the next day when you woke up? How did your mother feel the next day?
I believe she was still pretty sick.
Okay. All right. When you came and you went to school that day, right?
Yes.
And your brother also went to school, right?
Yes.
When you came home, who was at your residence?
My mother and the Hamiltons.
Okay. Anybody else? Did you recall?
I believe it was just them when I came home, but I'm not entirely sure.
Did anybody else show up later?
Yes.
Who was that?
Mr. Treadway, Chris Davis came, and then my Aunt Penny, I believe.
Okay. All right. And at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the decision was made to do what with your father? Well, let me strike that. Your father was asleep?
Yes.
Did he snore?
Yes.
Okay. That was similar to the first time when he went to the hospital in November, right?
I believe so.
But in November he woke up, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now he's asleep, he's on the couch, right?
Yes.
About 4 o'clock in the afternoon. What time did you get home, by the way?
We rode the bus, so it was probably around 2:45 and 3.
Okay. And around 4 o'clock, it was decided he was going to the hospital.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I have some thoughts. I'll share my thoughts as soon as we get a pause.
Was your father a happy man?
No.
When was the happiest that you ever saw him?
When we had money. When he believed he was going to get paid, I would say.
What was Natalie's reaction after Michael passed away?
She was very distraught.
Would it be a fair statement that Natalie loved Michael with all her heart?
Yes.
Right? That's all the questions I have of this witness.
That was his mic drop sound.
Cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Cochran, you've had a very tough last few years. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
When you went from trips to Paris, trips to Hawaii, to having to move out of your house, that has been very hard on you, hasn't it?
Yes.
In 2019, in February 2019, what grade were you in?
8th grade.
8th grade. Okay. And you were how old?
12 or 13.
Okay. Did you always take the bus, or did one of your parents or somebody else take you to school?
Usually my mother would take me to school.
Okay. And then you and your brother would ride the bus home?
It just depended on the day.
So sometimes she would come and pick you up?
Yes.
Is there anybody else that transported you?
Sometimes my babysitters would pick us up from school.
Okay. And what school did your brother go to at that time?
I believe we both went to Shady Middle.
What a name.
Okay.
I go to the Shady School.
Have you met with this gentleman right here, Mr. Jones?
That's funny.
Yes.
Did he interview you? Did he take, what are you going to say? Did he ask you that?
Why are you looking at him?
He asked me about questions during that time.
Okay. Did he record anything from you or write anything down? Information you gave him?
I'm not
that's
sure.
what the question is.
Your Honor, under Rule 612, if the defense has a statement of this witness, we'd like it, please.
All right. Is there a statement, Mr. Victor? Would you confer with your investigator?
Whoa.
No, Your Honor. The only time my investigator talked to this witness was in our office.
Does he have any notes from that? Okay.
Whoa.
You're in middle school, and you don't really know what your dad does for a living, but he told you he does something with contracts. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And your mom had left her job as a pharmacist how long before your dad started these contracts?
It was after.
Do you know when your mom stopped working as a pharmacist?
I want to say I was in 7th grade, but I'm not entirely sure.
Fair enough. Do you know what your mom made as a pharmacist?
I know she made good money.
To you, that means what?
I believe it was over $80,000 a year.
And she left that job to do what for a living?
My father asked her to leave her job.
To do what?
To stay at home and to assist him, but I never saw her do so.
So she had, as far as you know, she had nothing to do with your dad's businesses. Is that what you're saying?
I never saw her do anything, no.
Okay. And in fairness, you never really saw your dad do anything. He just said to you, I'm working on contracts?
I saw him constantly on his computer and making phone calls.
But you don't know what he was doing?
He told me that they were federal and state contracts.
Okay. And he said, I'm federal and state contracts? What did he say to you?
I am working on contracts.
I am working on contracts. And how many times did he tell you that?
He did it every day.
How many times did he tell you he did that?
Anytime I asked.
How many times did you ask him?
Frequently.
Frequently. Okay. So you're intimately involved with your dad's conversations over his contracts. You don't know what he does for a living, but you know about him doing contracts. And your mom had nothing to do with that business as far as you know. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. You're in college now?
Yes.
Where do you go to school?
Concord University.
Okay. What year are you?
It's my second year, but I'm considered a junior.
Okay. Well, your intelligence has been noted, so you're ahead of some of your incoming freshman class. What's your concentration? What's your major?
Accounting and finance.
Do you stress out over finals, or are you just so ahead of the game that doesn't bother you at all?
I know how to study, so I just make sure I have enough time to do so.
Okay. You know some of your friends that don't take that approach and maybe get a little uneasy around finals time?
My friends are pretty similar to me, I would say.
So you wouldn't know anything about stress of finals or any of that stuff?
I understand stress, but I don't stress over finals usually.
Okay. You understand stress. Would it be fair to say that your dad was acting like a man who was under stress when you answered defense questions about how he was doing and feeling?
I would consider him agitated. Yes.
Agitated. Under stress?
I don't know the cause of the agitation.
Okay, fair enough. You went to school on the date that your dad collapsed at the normal time?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, what would the normal time be?
We would normally get to school around 7:15.
And from your house on 4H Lake Road to the school, how many minutes on a normal day would that be?
Probably 25 with school traffic.
Yeah, that'd actually be pretty good. So you left your house at 10 to 7, something like that? Would that be about the normal time you would do that?
I'm not entirely sure.
Okay. And on the 6th of February, 2019, which is the date your dad collapsed, your mom took you to school, correct?
I'm not entirely sure.
Okay. Somehow you got there. You don't quite remember. That was a long time ago. But you don't remember when you got there, but you did get to school. Yes?
Yes.
And you returned on the bus, and it's about, you don't specifically remember that date, but it was about 2:45. Is that right?
That's right. It's Mr. Rogers.
Likely, yes.
Okay. When you got to your house, where was your dad physically at that time?
He was on the couch.
And your mom was there, and who else was there when you got home from school?
My mother and the Hamiltons.
Both Hamiltons.
John and Stephanie, yes.
Okay. And did they stay for the rest of the evening, or did they leave shortly after you got home?
I believe they were there for a little while, but I'm not entirely sure on the specifics.
Fair enough. Who's Penny Carrico?
She's my aunt.
Did you call her that day and say, hey, we need some help?
I don't really remember that.
Okay. At some point, Penny Carrico came to your house, correct?
Yes.
This is not designed in any way to embarrass you, but were you present when your dad lost control of his bladder? Or had that already happened by the time you got there?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Did you help change your dad's clothes or anything?
Where's she looking?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure.
That's fine. You indicated that about 4 o'clock they took your dad to the hospital. Is that what you remember?
That seems right, yes.
Okay. If there's some information that it was actually a couple hours later than that, would you dispute that?
I wasn't very, very concerned with the time during that time.
Sure. Did Chris Davis come over to your house before they took your dad to the hospital?
I I remember him being there, but I don't remember what time.
Who took care of you and your brother when your folks went to the hospital that day?
I don't remember that day who took us specifically, but I remember while he was in the hospital, we stayed with both of my grandparents on different circumstances and my aunt, I believe.
Same one we were talking about, Ms. Carrico?
Yes.
Okay. Were you present at your house when somebody decided we've got to take your dad to the hospital?
Yes.
Okay. And at that point, do you remember who else was in your house besides your mom and dad? You? Were the Hamiltons still there?
I remember many people were there, but I don't remember if they were still there or not.
Okay. You indicated Mr. Treadway was there?
I believe so, yes.
Were you actually present when your dad was taken to a car and they went to the hospital, or had you already left by then?
I think I was present.
Okay. Let's go back briefly to your dad's business, or what you describe as your dad's business. You know what his end of the was, but as far as you know, your mom had nothing to do with it. Is that what you understand?
Yes.
Okay. And so if there were bunches of messages where your mom was telling people, here's what's going on with the business, here's when you're going to get paid, can you invest in this, can you invest, those types of, you would know nothing about that. Is that fair to say?
Whoa.
Yes.
Can I have just a moment, please, Ron?
Sure.
That was a long pause.
Who's that? What's your grandma or your mom's name?
Daphne?
What's her last name?
Daphne Jessup.
Okay. Did she come over to your house that day while you were there?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Do you know if your mom communicated with her by phone or text or anything?
I'm not sure.
Okay. So if a message went from your mom to your grandma that said, Nick and I are enjoying a little girl couch time at about 4 o'clock that evening, you wouldn't know anything about that?
I'm not sure.
Do you remember enjoying some girl time with your mom at 4 o'clock on February the 6th, 2019?
We both sat with my father. Yes.
That's all the questions the state has. Thank you.
May confer with counsel.
Sure.
Okay, while they confer for just a minute, it is possible that this daughter gives consistent answers every time she's asked these questions. And maybe defense, knowing this is their best bet, has used the terminology and the wording and the answers that she gives to build their case around.
All right, redirect Ms. Pickles.
That's a possibility, but it looks like she's been helped with
In
her answers.
2019, how old were you? Just give us some good math.
13, I believe.
On February the 6th, when your father was unconscious, I presume, or sleeping, or has already fell on the ground, were you concerned about who was in the house?
Not really.
Were you concerned about your father?
Yes.
Now, prosecutor asked you about asking your dad about the contracts or what he was doing. Would you agree with me that your father sometimes paid less attention to you than your brother?
Yes.
Would you say that you were perhaps that you were starved for his attention?
Yes.
And you wanted his attention by asking him first what the heck he was doing. Right?
Yes.
But he never really took the bait and never really talked to you about anything else other than giving you the answer, I'm working on the contracts, right?
Yes.
That's all. Thank you.
Can I ask one more?
Sure, go ahead.
I should have asked you this before, and I'm sorry, but you indicated that your dad was his happiest when he was getting money. Wouldn't it be when he thought he was going to get some money?
Can you restate the question?
Sure. You indicated that your dad was at his happiest when he was getting some money. Is that what you remember saying?
Yes.
Okay. Was he also happy when he thought he was going to be getting some money?
Yes.
That's all, Your Honor. Thank you.
Anything further, Mr. Pickles?
For a 13-year-old, did you understand the word investors?
Vaguely, I would say.
Did your father ever use that word, investors?
Yes.
What did he tell you about the investors, if you remember?
He would never say it to me directly, but he would just talk about paying the investors.
Paying the investor?
Yes.
Okay. And even though you're now a future accounting genius, did you understand what he meant by that?
I would say fairly well, yes.
Well, what did you understand by that? Then?
That there were individuals investing in the company and he needed to pay them back.
Okay. Did you ever see any documents that your father would show you? The company documents, the spreadsheets, anything that had to do with income and outlay of money.
I had seen him working on a spreadsheet, but I wasn't told what it was.
Okay. You don't remember the details, what was on those spreadsheets?
No, I wasn't allowed to really see a lot.
Why weren't you allowed to see?
We just didn't get along.
Your father wouldn't let you see what he was working on?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, that's all.
Anything further, Mr. Truman?
Nothing for the state, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. May this witness be excused?
So far as the state's concerned.
Yes, Your Honor.
You may step down, Ms. Cochran. You are excused. Members of the jury, this is an opportune time for us to take our mid-morning break, and we will do so. Please do not discuss the case among yourselves or with anyone else. Please refrain from viewing, listening, or watching any accounts of this trial, and we'll break for about 10 or 15 minutes. You may go with the bailiff.
All right, we are going to skip the break. Oh, look at that. My courtroom disappeared. I'm back. Sorry. You just saw behind the curtain. You saw the curtain behind the picture. Hit the wrong button. All right, let's see. Where are we going? Right here. We're going to fast forward. A little bit of a break here. All right, and we're back. Beautiful. Ooh. Who be they? Who be they, huh? My thoughts are this. My thoughts are either that is a very coached witness who is verbatim giving the answers as they were previously testified to, verbatim, or the defense built their entire theory of the defense, including the terminology they use and the order they say things around her testimony. And she just happens to be extremely consistent. Of the two, the first seems more likely to me. And I can't blame her. I realize she's, on paper, she's an adult. When you have a childhood like that, it's like you lost years. Okay? Oftentimes someone's an adult, but in some ways they're also a child. And it pains me to watch that. sad. It's sad that her, best memory of her dad is when he thought he was going to die in the hospital, and he said some nice things about her. That is sad. There was a little bit of what you might consider selective memory. I don't know if it was true. I don't know. We know her mom is able to manipulate people because of the Ponzi scheme. Does that mean she manipulated her children? I don't know. Daughter's now there in court, sitting with cousins or friends. I see some similarities to I'm thinking cousins. Kids are all yelling in the house. Okay, I'm not sure what we're waiting for. We're waiting for the next witness. We're not getting spoilers, so we don't know what's going to happen next. We will be caught up by the end of today. Her sentence for the Ponzi scheme was 11 years. I don't know how much of that she served. I'm curious how long she's been actually incarcerated. I thought that was yelling from court. That's my daughter yelling at her brothers to hurry their butts up. They seem to be having a good old time. We're going to fast forward a little bit. I'm not sure what's going on here, but we're going to find where the next stuff starts. Oh, there we go. It's right there. Judge kicks the door open. Move, door.
All right. Do we have any matters to take up at this time out of the presence of the jury?
Your Honor, based upon our off-the-record discussion in the court's office, the state was under the impression that they were going to try and move Dr. Dragovich's testimony from tomorrow to Monday. That's the state's
I didn't want to
understanding?
alert the jury to that fact right away.
That's all.
I did not want a mutiny on our hands.
Well,
So we're going to wait and see what happens. We might have Stanley Selden appear suddenly this afternoon, and he may have different ideas.
thank you, Your Honor.
We'll see what develops. And we still have a lot of witnesses to cover today. We may run over till tomorrow. I've learned never to anticipate. All right, anything else?
That's for the state, Your Honor. Thank you.
No, Your Honor.
Bring in the jury.
My wife loves me. She got the big Deer Park water bottles with the flip top. Which apparently I can't use. Why does that? Why is my shirt wet now? Who is Stanley Sheldon? Or Stanley Selden? I could change shirts, but it's not that kind of show. So I can't chug it online. I have to squeeze it. It's a bigger bottle. There's a few more ounces in this one. This is
All right, we
24
continue
fluid
with the
ounces.
defendant's case. You may call your next witness, Mr. Victor.
I'd like to call Penny Carrico.
I'd like to call. As much as I don't want to spend any time personally with this defense attorney, I really like his style. I like that he has a style, and it's fiery, and it's a little flamboyant, and it's a little excessive.
If you'll raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may have a seat there. Thank you. All right, Mr. Victor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Would you state your name for the record, please?
My name is Penny Lowry.
All right. That's what I was going to ask you. Were you known at some point as Penny Carrico?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you're one and the same person?
Yes.
Okay. Lowry is your married name, ma'am?
It is.
Okay. I want to ask you whether you know the defendant, Natalie Cochran.
I do.
How do you know Natalie?
I'm her older sister.
Then I presume you know her late husband, or you knew her late husband, Michael Cochran?
Absolutely, yes.
And their children?
Yes.
How well did you know Penny? Just how long did you know Natalie?
Oh, I mean, she's, my whole life. I was 12 years old, I think, when she was born.
Okay. She is Natalie Page, right?
Correct.
And you're Penny? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Did you maintain very close contact with Natalie and her family?
Yes. Yes.
Did you socialize other than in family settings?
Yes.
What would you do?
They've been on vacation with me before. I mean, we'd do dinners, we'd go to their house, we'd been to the beach, things like that.
Normal family things?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And then additional vacations, outings,
yes.
Going out? All right.
My daughter went a lot of places with them.
Okay. Let me cut to the chase. Did you know that Michael Cochran was using any substances?
Yes.
What kind of substances was he using?
I don't really know what they were, but he had a lot of things in cabinets and on the counter and stuff. He took stuff. I usually saw him take them in the mornings when I was there.
What was he using those substances for?
To be buffer, bitter, to be stronger.
Just got it. Thank you very much.
Why did he want to be stronger or buffer?
He just wanted to. He fought in tough man contest, and that's just the way he liked to be.
He fought?
He fought in the tough man contest and things like that.
He did like ultimate fighting?
Did he care about his physical appearance?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And was he trying to be an athlete? Is that what it was?
I don't know so much an athlete as he just wanted to look that way.
How about a bodybuilder?
I don't know if I would call it that. He wanted his body to look that way, but I don't know that he wanted to be a bodybuilder. But he did like fighting, like kickboxing, things like that.
Okay. How long did you observe Michael Cochran take all these substances?
Years. It'd been years since I've known, since they were together.
Have you ever been able to determine what these substances were?
No, sir. I never asked him. I would just say, "Please stop," and he'd just, laugh at me.
How frequently did you observe Michael and these substances?
I've known him. I guess I've known him since they've been together, since they were in high school. So it was often, but I don't really have an amount of time. But it was several times.
How many pills? Pills were those pills that he was taking?
Pills, and I remember him doing mixing a bunch of stuff to drink and powders and things along those lines.
Did he also inject anything?
I only saw that one time, and they were at the beach with us. And I came out of my bedroom, and he was in the kitchen. And I can remember the kids they were young enough, they slept together on the sofa bed. And I was sitting on their bed, and he was in the kitchen. I saw him do an injection. Did you ever see him take insulin? I don't know what he took. Okay. I mean, if that was one of the things, I wouldn't know. I didn't know the names of any of this stuff.
Okay. Whatever was he telling you about all these substances?
He really never told me anything. I said, you please stop that. You've got to stop that. It's not good for you. And he would always just laugh and say, "Oh, you're retarded, Penny. It's okay." Or and one time I told my nephew, I said, "Please don't ever do that. What your dad's doing." And he would laugh at me. I mean, he wanted to be strong.
Okay. How many pills at a time?
I couldn't tell you.
Well, you said that he laid out something on.
Yeah, well, he had a whole counter full of stuff in a cabinet, and I mean, there was a lot. I don't know how much he took at once, or when I just saw the times that I was there. Usually, when I saw him was in the mornings.
Do you know where these pills came from?
I do not.
Okay. Did you ever see any packages delivered to their house? Or
I've seen packages delivered to their house, but I couldn't tell you what were in them.
You don't know whether these were the pills
No,
or any supplements?
no.
Okay. Now, I want to ask you whether you observe Michael's health over the last, say, 3 years of his life.
Have I observed it?
Have you observed his demeanor, his health, his general appearance?
Yes.
Well, tell the jury about it. Starting, say, in 2017, when he had, well, I understand he had a back surgery.
A back surgery?
Right.
I don't really recall that. I know that there was a time he got really sick, and we thought it might be mold because he'd worked under the house. They have an older house, and he'd worked in some old houses, and he would tell me that he was just dizzy and felt foggy all the time, or that he just couldn't think. And then the same way I observed him during, when he passed away, he had done that before, and I had seen him in the hospital. He would throw up, and what I thought, I would just be speculating, but I thought it looked more like seizure activity.
Okay. Did you ever see him on these occasions that you mentioned when he went to the hospital? I presume that was in October and November 2018.
I can't remember the dates, but I think so, yes.
And then in February of 2019.
Yes.
Did you ever see him sick on any other occasions?
Not anything that was abnormal. He was sick, or he would say he felt bad, or but typically what I would consider myself sick. He would have days that he would be throwing up or things like that. But the main occasion was that one in October and November.
Did his health improve, or did it get worse?
It got worse.
Tell us about, say, right before he went to the hospital in November of 2018. What did you observe of him?
Just that I really thought something was wrong with their house, because the kids even had like a lot of runny noses and stuff. But he would just say, he couldn't think clear. He wouldn't remember things, and I'd say, "What do you remember?" I'd say, "I don't know." We'd be talking about something. I'd say, "Well, it's this." He said, "Well, I couldn't think of it," or and he just seemed different. He would get angrier, and we just thought he had a lot of mold poisoning.
I think mold's getting
when
a bad
he came
rap
out of
in
the
this
hospital
case.
in November 2018, what was he like? How did he act?
He came through and he seemed like he was going to be fine. He was like he was before. He was just himself. The same way. He was still foggy, and I told him, I said, "You've got to quit taking this stuff."
Okay, and and what was his response? Retarded Penny? Is that what he said?
No, not that time. He had before. He'd always laugh at me and just say, "Oh, Penny," And he I don't remember what he said that time, because I'd say it to him a lot. I'd say, "You've got to stop," and I didn't want Ashton, his son, to start that habit.
Let's use the initials for
Sorry.
The son. Did he ever? Well, when he came out of the hospital, did he express his liking or disliking hospitals?
He was mad. He told me, he said, "If you ever do that to me again, if any of you all ever do that to me again," he said, "I will be furious with you. I'll never forgive you." He said, "I do not want to wake up again in a hospital."
Okay. Did you ever observe him work on any contracts or anything in his business? Do you have any knowledge of that?
I knew they did contracts. I didn't see him like sitting at a desk working on them, but we had talked about them some.
Well, what did he tell you about his work?
The conversations that I can remember with him, I remember one time we were at his son's football practice, and I was a principal at a school at a time, and I said, "If things keep going well, would you consider donating some?" He liked, physical activity. I said, "Would you consider donating some stuff to my school?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "Why don't you do some of these too?" He said, "There's a lot of educational ones we can help you find, and you can work on them as well." And there were a few times he had signed checks to give to me that when when they owed me money.
Did he ever tell you anything about being a gun dealer?
I don't know that he told me, but I knew they were.
Well, what did he tell you?
I don't know how I knew or if he told me, but I just know they had gotten a license to deal with arms, and then they started that business. Well, they bought a location, and then they started fixing that up for, I think he called it Tactical Solutions.
Did he ever tell you that he sold many guns to the government?
I don't recall if he told me that.
Okay. Did he ever tell you that he dealt with the government?
Yes.
And what do you recall him saying?
Just that they were doing government contracts. That was, that's what they were doing now, and that was their job basically. He just told me that's what they were doing.
Okay. Tell us about. Did you know anything about their financial situation?
What do you mean exactly?
How did they live? Did they live modestly? Did they live in luxury? How did they live?
I would say between modest and luxury. I mean, I wouldn't call it luxurious, but they lived, I felt, better than I did. But, they got to do a lot of things. They had a nice home. They had nice vehicles. I mean, I didn't know their financial status, per se. I never asked, but they lived well.
Were they buying any boats or anything like that? Do you know anything about that?
They were going to. I know I think they looked at a boat or were going to buy a boat. I'm not sure if they ended up doing that, but they were buying some things, yes.
He had plenty of motorcycles, from what I remember.
I remember one motorcycle. I don't know how many he had. And he had a sports car and a truck.
How about did they buy any other properties?
Well, they bought the business. I think it was I call it Eisenhower. They bought a building there. I think they had, I best I can remember, they bought a home that they were renting to someone, and then they were looking to buy a house at Flat Top Lake, but I don't think they ever did.
How about there was some talk about helicopters and hangars. What was that all about?
I don't recall the details, but I just know he was going to, I think they had a hangar, he was going to buy a helicopter, or they were looking at it with his friend, best that I can recall. I didn't talk in depth about that. That stuff didn't matter to me.
Wouldn't it be fair to say that they lived really well?
Yes, yeah. They had more than I had.
Michael was a generous person, wasn't he?
Yes.
He would take people out.
All the time.
He would pay.
There was only one time he ever let us pay. I mean, he always paid for our meals every time, because he took us out a lot. But they did a lot for my daughter. Like he would take her to places with the kids.
Where would he go? Was that?
Oh, he ate out at Chili's almost every day. Like he took her on they took her to Disney World. He ate out every day, so he.
And he paid for that?
Yes.
Took your daughter to Disney World?
With the family.
Ribs.
The whole family?
Chili's.
Their family, yes, took my daughter, yes.
And he paid for it?
Yes.
Okay. You know that they went to Paris, France, and
yes.
They went to Hawaii, they went to other places.
I don't remember Hawaii, but I do remember Paris, yes.
All right. Where else did they go on vacations?
They'd go to the beach a lot.
Which beach?
I just remember Myrtle.
Myrtle.
Yeah, they went with us some. So, yeah.
Okay. And who funded that? Who paid for all of that?
Well, at the times that I remember, my family rented a condo in the summer, because I'm an educator and I was off at that time, and they would come stay with us. But he paid for lots of our meals and to do things. Okay. That was some time ago. It was when the kids were really little.
Okay. Then. Did Michael have his own medicine cabinet in the house that you remember?
I don't know if it was I call it his own, but it was the cabinet with all of his stuff, and I can remember it kind of being in the corner because I was hunting for a glass, and there was all kinds of stuff in there that was his, and I just knew it was his stuff.
What was Michael's profession as such?
The only thing that I remember him being an IT guy for a little while for Job Force, but that's all I recall.
That's that IT. I hear that IT. What does that mean, really?
I think he helped with their technology if they needed wiring or. That was my understanding. I didn't talk too much about what he did.
What did he do for the businesses that he had with Natalie?
I'm not sure what all he did.
Okay. Now, when you in February of 2019, what did Michael look like, and what did he act like? What was his appearance like? Tell us about what you saw.
I mean, just thinking back, I don't know how often I saw him that month or what. I mean, he looked like he had done in the past. Do you mean before the day that he passed away? Yeah, he seemed the same as I was used to. He was very angry. And I just remember he wrote me a check that they owed me some money, and he said, "I'm leaving it at the front door." Like he didn't want me to come in or see him. I don't know. He was just mad because I'd asked for my money.
Was he confused?
I don't know. I couldn't say.
Did he complain of any headaches?
Yes. Yeah, he did. He did a lot. I mean, even way before February.
What did he tell you about his headaches?
Nothing. They just said, he would take aspirin and stuff because he had headaches. But I'm a migraine sufferer. His son is as well, so I didn't think much about anything. He had a headache. And then again, when it got really bad, we thought it was where he was working on this house. And I think he was up underneath it and stuff in the crawl space. So we thought maybe mold or something had gone into his lungs causing that.
You've never seen his medical records, have you?
No.
All right. And in February, February 6th, you actually went to the Cochran's house?
If that was the day, yes, I did.
When Michael supposedly collapsed?
Yes, I did.
And what did you observe?
Well, I got a call. My niece called me around. I was at work and school was out. Like all the kids were gone. She called and said, "Mom needs some help. Can you come over?" And then I went and I helped her get him. He kind of slumped off the couch, and I helped her get him back on. And she was cleaning. She was going to clean him up. He had an accident. Okay. And Nikki went to get his clothes, and I helped her with that. And that was around 4:00.
Who was at the house at that time, from your observation?
Nikki and their son, Natalie, and myself.
Anybody else who came later?
Later that evening, yes.
Who came later?
She called me around. We were on our way to go out and eat, and I was in the car. She had called and said, "I'm taking him to the hospital. Can you please come get the kids?" And it was dark, but it was February, so I think it was around. I know it was around 6 o'clock or so because I remember trying to call my mom, and they're always at church. And so I said, "Yeah, I'll come get the kids." And when I went there, I think I was the first one in there, and then Thomas and Lacey Treadway came in, and then the last people in, Chris Davis and his son, followed in after that.
Okay. Were you, at least you, aware of the fact that Michael Cochran didn't want to go to the hospital?
Oh, yeah.
He expressed that view exactly to you? He expressed
everybody, yes, to all of his...
And Natalie was present when he...
Oh, yeah, yes. When the first episode happened, he told all of us, yes.
All right, if I may have a second.
Certainly.
Looks like just doing a little search on their federal firearms license, they had Class 1 and Class 8, which allowed them to just sell firearms in general and be like a gunsmith, firearm repair dealer, as well as import firearms.
Okay, cross-examination, Mr. Truman.
Thank you, Honor. You work for the Raleigh County Board of Education?
I do.
And in 2019, what was your job?
At that time, I was a principal.
Where?
Shady Spring Elementary.
Okay. And your current position is what?
I'm the assistant superintendent.
Oh, okay.
Just about the boss.
You were an investor in the defendant's company?
I was.
You lose some money?
I did.
About how much did you lose?
She was my sister, so I didn't really keep records. I mean, I didn't consider it more of it was a business deal, but I just thought she could, it would help me out. So, but when everything was said and done, I felt like it was around $50,000.
Okay. Did you ever get any of it back?
Well, that's what I ended up, I think, not having. So, like, I would give some, and I'd get some, give some, and get some, and then when it all ended, I think I was $50,000 around.
$50,000 around.
In the whole, yeah.
Do you know how much you put in altogether?
No. Like I said, it was just, yeah, go ahead and put me in for this contract, and then I would say, here's some more. I don't really recall. I really don't.
Were your dealings with Michael on these transactions?
Natalie with the money.
Okay. So she controlled all the money for the company, and according to your niece, he was at his computer doing whatever he did with government contracts. But the money side of it was your sister.
He wrote me some checks. Like, he would write them and sign them, but as far as, like, me saying I want to give for this contract, I dealt with her.
Okay.
Give for a contract.
You got a call. The first call you got was from your niece?
Yes.
Saying we need help?
Yes.
That was after school, and you were at Shady Elementary?
Yes.
Okay, which is how far from the Cochran house, roughly?
Probably about 6 minutes, maybe.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's very close.
And you went the first time to the Cochran house that day by yourself?
I did.
Okay. You indicated that Michael was on the floor. Actually, this may not be fair, but was Michael on the floor in front of the couch or next to a couch?
No, he was on the couch, but he was kind of his leg and arm were off of it, and his head was kind of on the couch part. So I helped her get him up on the couch comfortably, his head on the pillow, and his arm, everything up on the couch. And I kind of held a blanket, and Nikki got him some clothes. She cleaned him up. Natalie cleaned him up.
You got me a little bit confused there. Nikki got some clothes, and the defendant cleaned him up?
Yes, so she said, Nikki, run and get him some clean pants, and I kind of held a blanket there, and I just held that while she did that. Okay. So did you participate other than holding the blanket up over Michael? No, and I really didn't do that. To be honest, the son kept saying, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. He kept aggravating her the whole time, and she said, stop, I'm trying to deal with this. I said, why don't you just let me deal with him? And I don't recall if I took him or if I went, but I think I took him to get food and brought him back.
Okay. Now, before Nikki called you, you had heard from the defendant, correct?
I had.
How did she communicate with you?
She texted me.
And she sent you this picture, correct?
She did.
What was your reaction to seeing that picture for the first time?
She sent it, and she sent a text that said something like, he's sick and he won't he's sick and won't get up or something along. I just remember thinking, I know it sounds terrible, but I was really busy. There was kids and stuff all in my office, and I remember thinking, what does she mean he won't get up? And I thought, well, what does she want me to do about it?
Okay.
You know.
Then by the time Nikki called, that was 2 hours later?
Oh, it was more than that, probably.
More than that, because your school had been dismissed for the day.
Yes.
And what time would that be?
It was around 4. I was working at my desk, and she texted me, and I remember, I think my secretary was still there because I said, I've got to go. Natalie needs me, and that's the best I can recall. I remember I was at my desk, and Nikki called me.
When you got to the Cochran house in answer to Nikki's call to you, tell us what you remember about what you saw.
Well, like I said, when I went in, he was on the couch, but he was kind of slumped over it. And I helped her get him on the couch comfortably. He was snoring and making noises, and I thought the same thing I thought the first time I saw him in the hospital in November, whenever that was, that he had had another seizure and that he was going to be coming out of that. So I helped her. He had an accident, so I helped her get him up there, fixed on the couch. And she said, Nikki, go get him some clothes. I kind of put a blanket over him, and then that's all that happened at that time.
Okay. When you saw him in the hospital, was he?
Your Honor, I'm sorry. Unless there are direct questions about this exhibit.
I'm sorry.
All right. Then we need to identify that exhibit for the purpose of the record.
That was an objection.
It's attached to a text. I cannot tell you off the top of my head. If you give us a moment, we can.
Okay, maybe Ms. Acord can track it down.
Can I go on with the exam?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. You get to the house. You've described what actions you took to help your sister with her distressed husband. But my question to you goes to when he was in the hospital. You went to Charleston to see the Cochrans?
Yes, sir.
Was Michael sedated while he was in there, to the best of your knowledge?
I do not know.
Okay. But you just know he was not awake?
Correct.
On the 19th of February of 6th of February 2019, when you got to the Cochran's house, was Michael ever in a position where you heard him converse with anybody?
No.
Did you hear him converse with anybody either time you were there?
No.
Now, you came back at the request of the defendant to pick up the kids?
Yes.
And that's because what?
She called me, and we were on our way to dinner, and she called me. I was in the car, and she said, I'm going to take him to the hospital. I've called Chris and Thomas to come help. Can you come get the kids?
Okay. When you came to pick up the kids, who was present at the house at that time?
I think it was just me at the time. My husband stayed in the car, we weren't married at the time, but I can't remember if Thomas and Lacey had gotten there yet or not. I think it was just me, but I know Chris and his son came in last.
Okay.
So I can't recall if they were there before me or me. It's been a long time.
Yeah. So to the best of your recollection, the defendant was there, Michael was there, the 2 kids were there.
Yes.
But Mr. Treadway showed up after you got there?
I don't recall.
Okay.
He might have been there when I got there. I remember him and his wife were there, but I can't recall. I just remember Chris came in after I was there because I saw him and his son come in through the door.
And the Treadways might have been there, or they might have come in.
Yeah, I don't recall. He was there first, me or them.
Fair enough. The decision to actually take Michael to the hospital, when did that come about?
I don't know. Like I said, she called me and said, I'm taking him to the hospital. I've called Chris and Thomas to help. Can you come get the kids? And then we were all there, and I remember saying, he's going to be so mad at us. And but we all said, well, we have to take him. So.
Did you express an opinion as to whether he should go to the hospital, notwithstanding his prior reservations about that?
Say that again.
Sure. Did you express an opinion as to whether he should go to the hospital despite his statements that I don't want to go back again?
Not until everybody was in there. We were all in there, and we were all talking, and we were just all talking, and everyone was talking about how mad he was going to be, and I remember saying, well, we still need to take him, and then I remember Chris saying yes, and then I went and got my now husband we helped get him in the car.
So who actually, to the best of your recollection, helped to take Michael to the car?
Chris, Thomas, and my now husband Mario.
Okay. Whose car did they take Michael to?
Natalie's.
And who was driving the car were you present when the car drove off?
I was not.
You went back inside, or?
No, I was going to take the kids with me, and they wanted to go with Thomas and Lacey because they have kids their age. And I said, well, I'm just going to, we just left because we felt like our job was done there. So.
Okay, so you didn't end up with the kids that night?
No, I did not.
So
we left after he was in the car, but I don't know who ended up going or.
Okay. Did you see Michael in the car?
Yes.
Where was he?
In the very back. Like they laid him across it's a long SUV, and they laid him across in the back.
Who else? Did you see anybody else in the car?
No.
So you didn't see your sister, you didn't see Chris?
No one was in the car when I left.
Just Michael. Can I have just a moment, please?
Sure.
All righty. No eye contact. She lost 50 grand. Sounds like she may have invested more, but got some money back
The state
out.
has any additional questions. Thank you.
All right, redirect Mr. Victor.
Do you recall in August 2018 when Michael Cochran brought Natalie to your school and told you that he wanted you to deal with him from that moment on?
Yes.
That was in August of 2018.
I can't recall the date.
Okay. But he told you that he wanted for you to deal with him in the matters of business?
Yes.
With him only?
Yes.
Okay. You lost almost 50 grand on this.
That's what I think. Yeah. When I was all said and done. Yes.
And you should be really, really mad at your sister.
Yeah.
And I presume Michael, but he's not with us.
Right.
And yet it did not color your testimony here today.
No.
Did it? Okay. That's all. Thank you.
I have one follow-up, Your Honor.
Right
and it should have been asked on cross, but
Okay.
it wasn't. What did the defendant tell you actually happened to Michael that day?
We never really talked about that except in the text. She just said he was sick, and she sent me the picture and said he was sick and he could or wouldn't get up. I just remember however it was worded. I thought, well, why won't he get up? I didn't know if he couldn't, he wouldn't. That's all I remember, that she said he was sick.
Well, but at some point, didn't she tell you what happened to him?
Not that I can recall.
Okay, do you remember being interviewed July 16th of 2019 by a couple police officers?
I probably was, yeah. I remember being interviewed. I don't know when it was.
Okay. And at that time, you indicated that the defendant told you that he threw up, hit his head, and seized.
She told me I recall the throwing up the first time this happened in October and November. She told me that he hit his head much later after he had been in the hospital in February. She said he had hit his head on the counter when he fell.
And we're talking now about February 6th.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
But the throwing up, I can only recall, like I said, it's been a long time, but I remember he was throwing up a lot during the October-November time, even in the car.
And you've indicated in questioning from the defense that you have no idea what supplements Michael was taking.
No.
Thank you, Your Honor. That's all the questions to stay at.
Did you ever see any dent on the counter in the kitchen of Mr. and Mrs. Cochran?
There was it wasn't a dent because it was like corian or something, but there was a divot knocked out of it. Yes.
From his head?
And that's what Natalie told you? That's where he hit his head?
Yes.
And there was a dent on it?
Yes.
He dented the counter?
I may have a second.
All right.
Six, I think.
And he had no marks on his head?
Judge, to clear up the record, I think that picture is in State's Exhibit 6.
All right, thank you. Any further questions of the witness, Mr. Truman?
Nothing from the State, Your Honor. Thank you.
May this witness be excused.
So far as the State's concerned, yes, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Lowry. You may step down. You are excused. Call your next witness, please, Mr. Victor.
I will call Thomas Treadway.
If they had a vinyl sticker on top of plywood that had been eaten away by termites, possibly, then you would dent the counter. But wow, they joined the defendant's side. This is interesting. They're all together. So she lost 50 grand, but they're still sisters. Blood is thicker than his wallets. Ooh.
If you'll raise your right hand, please, sir.
I'd
Do you
like to
swear
spirit
or affirm
already.
to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. You may have a seat right there.
Would you kindly state your name for the record?
Thomas Treadway.
Mr. Treadway, what do you do for a living?
I'm a freelance graphic designer.
Okay.
So close.
Do you know Natalie Cochran?
Yes, I do.
How do you know her?
We met through youth sports. Our kids are friends.
Okay. Did you know Michael Cochran?
Yes, I did.
How did you know Michael Cochran?
Through youth sports.
Okay. Was there a time that you would get involved in Mr. Cochran's Mr. and Mrs. Cochran's business?
Yes.
What was the initial involvement that you had with that business?
They would contact me. Mike would contact me about doing graphics, designs, signs.
For what? For the business?
I actually did the sign at TSG out on Eisenhower Drive.
Was he satisfied with your product?
Yes, he was.
Okay. And from there on, I presume, the discussion concerned your investment in the business, right?
Yes.
And in fact, it ended up and culminated in your investing a substantial amount of money.
Yes.
Would you kindly share with the jury how much you may have invested in that business?
I do not have that information. I would have to go through my CPA to get that.
But it was a significant amount.
Yeah.
I'd have to talk
Who
to my
did you deal
accountant.
with in terms of the investments?
That's a lot.
Okay. What did he tell you that what you were investing in? I mean, obviously there wasn't like give us X number of dollars and invest in something. What did he tell you about the investments?
It was for contracts for graphics, mostly.
For contracts for what?
For graphics.
Graphics. And were there any government contracts as well?
Yes.
What else were you investing in?
Mainly that.
Okay. Was there any great promise of great returns?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. And you actually, I presume you wrote the checks to the companies, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Through your contact with Mr. Cochran, you kind of learned to know him quite well, right?
Yes.
How well did you know him?
He was my son's favorite coach.
Okay. He was good at sports, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
He was a bodybuilder, wasn't he?
He was very athletic.
Okay. Toughman competitions?
Yes.
Pulling a hammer, right?
I believe so.
Any other sports activities that he was involved in?
Just through the youth sports. There was an alumni football game he played in, and that.
Okay. He appeared a model of health, didn't he?
Yes.
And yet, what did you observe in about 2018?
Mike seemed really agitated, really not really himself.
When he was himself, what was he like?
Focused.
Focused.
Yes.
Task-oriented, wasn't he?
Yes, very.
And then around 2018, he started being what?
Like I said, he wasn't himself. He didn't act the same.
Did he have any? Well, was he ever confused?
There was an instance where he seemed very confused.
Did he complain about headaches?
Not to me, not that I remember.
Okay. When did he appear confused to you?
There was an instance where the families went to eat. We went out to eat, and there was an instance there.
Okay. Is that the Panera Bread situation?
Yes.
That wasn't one of his favorite restaurants, huh?
No.
In fact, he hated it with an unbridled passion.
Yes, he did.
And all of a sudden, he takes you to Panera Bread.
Yes.
And says what?
We were sitting around the table together, and he looked at me and said, "You have a hat on." And, at the time, we laughed about it. I was like, "Mike, I always have a hat. I always wear a hat." And never thought anything about that until after. And it kind of was like, wow, that was really kind of weird for Mike to ask me I didn't have a hat on.
Was he ever confused about where he left his car?
In front of the Walmart.
I can't say that.
That timing perfectly.
Was he, you said he was agitated. What was he agitated about?
We never discussed where the agitation come from. I mean, he just seemed really visibly agitated.
Okay. Now,
Allie B from Tennessee nailed that one. Where he left his car in front of the Walmart.
You knew that Michael went to the hospital in November of 2018. Right?
Yes.
Did you see him before he went to the hospital in October and November?
I'm sure I did.
Okay. Do you remember what he was like, or what he acted like?
I don't remember instances, but I know that he was pretty sick.
Okay. And he stayed in the hospital on 2 different occasions then?
Yes.
Do you know whatever the doctors told him was wrong with him?
I never heard a diagnosis. We kept the kids, so we didn't weren't involved in that aspect of it.
Did he ever tell you what was wrong with him?
I heard black mold, which was brought up.
Did he ever? He said that he didn't like hospitals, did he?
No, he did not.
Never wanted to go back to the hospital.
Exactly.
All right. Did you ever know that he was using any substances to be more athletic, let's say?
Yes.
What do you know about that?
I don't know the details of what he took. I don't know, but Mike was very concerned with his body and his appearance.
Did he ever tell you he was taking substances?
I don't think that conversation ever came out.
Did you know from any personal knowledge that he was taking substances?
Remind me, I'll tell you why I don't.
I would just gather that, with his physical appearance, that he would take supplements and various other things.
What kind of contractual relationship did you have with Michael? What did you do for him other than this first contract? Did you have any other work for him?
Yes, I did pretty much anything that was graphic-wise. I handled that for them.
Okay. How did he appear to you in January or in February of 2019?
January was was around the time that the Panera Bread, the hat comment came out.
And from then on, how did he appear to you?
He just, to me, he seemed, my opinion, that he seemed really wired. Really
he seemed what?
Wired.
Wired.
Yes.
Did he ever tell you what bothered him?
No.
Did he ever suggest anything to you that he was in any physical discomfort?
No.
Never complained about his health?
No, not to me.
Okay. All right. That's all I have. Thank you.
Cross-examination, Mr. Truman.
Thank you. Mr. Treadway, could you go into a little more detail about you're a graphic designer? Is that what you are?
Yes.
Okay. What does a graphic designer do?
You design graphics.
I designed their sign out front of their business. I did a design for a firearm. I designed T-shirts. I designed baseball uniforms, logos for the baseball uniforms.
Letterhead? Does anybody do letterhead anymore?
No.
So you never had any involvement with any of the letterhead that the Cochrans might have utilized, or specifically the defendant?
No.
There's a fraudulent document that the defendant sent around on Bank of America letterhead. Would a graphic designer have...
I'm going to object to the characterization of it. We don't know what document it is. We already are calling it fraudulent.
All right, let's just call it a straight-out document at this point.
Great, thank you. A Bank of America document. Would a graphic designer create this document?
I would guess.
Okay, but you're saying it wasn't you?
No.
Who's Lacey Treadway?
My wife.
Your wife. And she's a notary?
Yes.
And she did notary work for the Cochrans?
Yes. To my knowledge.
Pardon?
To my knowledge,
okay.
Yes.
Now, let me take you to the date of Mr. Cochran's collapse, February the 6th of 2019. Were you asked to come to the Cochran residence that day?
I wasn't asked. I called Natalie to see if she needed some help.
Out of the clear blue, or how did that happen?
She had texted me, told me Mike had failed.
Okay. Did she send you the picture with that, or just tell you?
I'm not sure of that, and I'm not sure of that.
Okay. Do you know what time you got to the Cochran house?
It was in the evening. It was late. I taught classes at Concord, so it was late in the evening.
Graphic design classes?
Yes.
Okay.
In the evening.
Take a look at this. Oops.
Little Eric Clapton coming through there. So many times I wanted to start singing songs as they've just quoted lines straight out of songs here. Might have to do that in chat only.
Relative to when Chris Davis appeared, according to you, when did you show up?
What was the question again?
Well, Chris Davis appeared at the Cochran house while you were there, correct?
After me, yes.
And so you got there how much before he did?
I'm unclear.
Take a look at your text.
10 or 15 minutes before Chris got there.
Okay. And you don't have any reason to question your text, do you?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. You were one of the people that helped take Mr. Cochran to the car?
Yes.
Okay. And so when the defendant said that, you would not dispute that. You were absolutely one of the people. Right?
Right.
Okay. Who else helped carry Mr. Cochran to the car besides you and Chris Davis?
It's really unclear. I know Penny Carrico was there. Her husband Mario was there. I don't remember exactly everyone that was there at that time or helped carry Mike.
You just know you did?
I carried Mike, helped Mike carry Mike to the car.
And Chris Davis did?
And Chris Davis.
There may have been some others that helped, but those are the two, you two for sure?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you've indicated you were there about 10 or 15 minutes before Chris Davis arrived. The defendant seems to indicate that you thought Mr. Cochran was getting worse. Can you explain that to us?
I do not remember having that conversation.
Okay, so you don't say, hey, I think he's getting worse, we need to do something?
I'm not a medical professional. I can't evaluate that.
Fair enough. After Mr. Cochran died on the 11th of February of 2019, do you recall giving the defendant some advice as to what she should do legally?
I don't recall that.
Does that help you remember?
Yes.
Okay. And why were you suggesting that she should make that timeline?
In any circumstance, I wouldn't know why you wouldn't do that.
And you were also helping her remember that she checked Mr. Cochran's vital signs, correct?
Get a lawyer to get ahead of the game.
That's what it says.
She asked for your assistance in mounting her defense, didn't she?
No, not that I know of.
Okay. Did she ask you to look into Michael's phone?
Not that I remember.
Okay, well, it's been a while back. Let's take a look at this.
Can you folks read this on the screen? Okay, because I can't. But happily, I have a little monitor right here.
I'll bring Mike's old phone Sunday to you.
She'll bring you his phone to crack his phone. You remember that now?
I remember looking at the phone to see if there was anything that I could help her with there.
And you were trying to figure out why she couldn't get into it.
The update locked it, and I'm trying to get his photos
questions about that.
out of it.
Right.
Okay. Now, Mr. Treadway, you were asked to provide statements to the law enforcement people that were investigating your friend's death. What was your response to that?
No, thank you.
So you were not interested in cooperating with the state police, people who are investigating this?
No, thank you.
Michael was a friend of yours?
Yes, he was.
Okay. And you made a very succinct comment about what you would tell them. Remember what you said?
Not right offhand.
Let's refresh
your
recollection.
They won't get shit from me. Come to your recollection?
If that's what the text message says, then that's what it is.
And that is the way you felt about it. They weren't going to get any cooperation out of you.
That's what the text message says.
I didn't ask you if that's what the text message said. I asked you if that's what your position was. They were not going to get any help from you that would hurt the defendant, correct?
I don't recall ever saying that.
No, you didn't say that, but that's what your position was, wasn't it?
My position was no thank you.
No thank you as in you're not going to get any help from me.
I didn't say no help. I said no thank you.
No information from you.
No thank you was my response.
Wow. A little belligerent there. You know we've got the texts.
Let's see this again. Well, they ain't getting shit from me. That's your response.
If that's
Not
what-
no thank you. That's your response,
Okay.
correct? That's all the questions the state had.
Redirect, Mr. Victor.
Were you informed that Michael Cochran actually locked the cell phone to the point that Natalie Cochran could not get into it?
That was what was conveyed to me.
Okay. So some of those messages that we saw in court were the messages sent by Michael Cochran, not Natalie Cochran.
Yeah,
Because she had no access to it.
exactly.
And then, so when and he controlled that situation, didn't he?
It was his phone.
It was his phone. So then, after he died, she wanted to know what was on it, what the messages were, right?
Right.
And she asked you to help you decode it.
If I could, yes.
It's not a big deal, is it? You
If
didn't
you-
think it was a big deal.
I didn't think at the time that was a big deal.
Okay. Now, the prosecutor asked you, and it's still on the screen, about this. Well, they ain't getting shit from me. Well, would you care to enlighten us as to why?
I was asked if I wanted to give a statement, and I did some research before I talked to them and told them no thank you.
Would you care to show us what type of research you did?
I did some research and I found a document that had some information about some witness tampering, and so I didn't think that was someone that I needed to talk to.
Witness tampering.
Is that
Who
prime
tampered with
placement over
witness?
there in the background?
There were several
That drink?
names in the article.
But it wasn't my client who tampered with witnesses.
No.
Somebody else tampered with witnesses according to that article, and that's why you refused to talk to the police.
Exactly.
What kind of witnesses are we talking about in this case?
No, not in this case.
I see. So you did not believe that talking to the police officers would be appropriate because they weren't trustworthy. Is that what?
Correct.
Okay. And is it true that there were very specific officers that were mentioned there?
Yes.
In that article. All right. Okay. That's all.
Anything further, Mr. Truman?
So this is a generic witness tampering fear that you had and not related to the investigators in this case, is that correct?
The article contained names of investigators in this case.
And this article came from where?
The Charleston Gazette.
And they accused
Okay.
the investigators in this case of tampering with witnesses?
Not with this case. The case that they worked on previously.
And it specifically named Heinzman and Bledsoe?
Yes, sir.
And this is a Charleston Gazette article?
Yes, sir.
And you don't know if there's any merit to that or not. That was just a report in the Charleston Gazette.
I'm pretty sure there was a settlement involved.
You don't know if there was any merit to it. You just know what you read in the Charleston Gazette.
Exactly.
Okay. Which means you may not know anything. That's all the questions the state has.
Last comment by the prosecutor.
To strike. I'll withdraw.
I'll allow it.
It allows it to stay.
Any further questions, Mr. Victor?
Okay. Charleston Gazette reported a witness tampering case in West Virginia. Federal jury found Mercer County couple guilty. That's not the one.
That's all the questions I have. Thank you, Your Honor.
Any reason to hold this witness?
None from the state, Your Honor. Thank you.
Any reason to recall this gentleman?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, sir. You may step down, Mr. Treadway. You are excused. Happily, ladies and gentlemen, we are right at the noon hour, and we will take our luncheon recess at this time. Please be back in your jury room a little bit before 1 o'clock, and we will try to start up promptly. Do not discuss the case among yourselves or with anyone else. Please do not view, observe, or listen to any reports concerning this trial or matters concerning this case. Enjoy your lunch. You may go with the bailiff now to your jury room.
Can't find the story he's citing there in the Gazette. The moves to strike was an objection. I'm going to count that one. We're at 105. All right, lunch is here. We're not taking it. Sorry, guys. We're working through lunch today. We've got.
All right, we'll break for lunch and start back up at 1 o'clock.
Miles to go and something before I die or something. I forget how that goes. We are going to skippity-doo-dah ahead. Okay, it's like a little circus here. Oh my goodness. Whoa. We're almost done. We're almost caught up. Guys, we have less than an hour left to go. So, all right. Promises to keep and miles to go before you sleep.
You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, Your Honor.
Have a seat right there.
Would you tell the jury the the initials of your name?
M-A-C.
If you could just scoot up a little bit towards the microphone. Thank you.
Say it again.
Say it again.
M-A-C.
There you go. Do you know the defendant, Natalie Cochran?
Yes, she is my mother.
Okay. I presume you remember your father,
Yes.
Michael Cochran.
Yes, sir.
He is deceased. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
We're not going to see this witness. He is a juvenile.
February 11th, 2019.
Okay. Who else lived in your house ever since you've been born?
The only people that lived in my house while he was still alive was me, my mom, my sister, and my dad.
Okay. Now, what was your relationship with your father?
I would say it was good. We had a good relationship.
Okay. What did you do together?
All types of stuff. He was my baseball coach, my football coach, led me through several sports. Went shooting together, went hunting together. We just always did stuff together.
Your father was very athletic, wasn't he?
Yes, sir.
He participated in all kinds of sports himself, right?
Yes,
as
sir.
well as he coached sports.
Yes, sir.
He cared about his physical appearance.
Yes, sir.
And even participated in some tough contests there, right?
Yes, sir. He did a couple tough mudders and tough man.
Tough what?
Tough mudders and tough man contests.
Tough mudder.
Was successful?
Very.
If you count 6th place.
Did he ever try to participate in any bodybuilding contests?
I know that he did in high school. He used to do a bunch of powerlifting, and I don't know if he ever did any shows or anything.
Okay. He appeared perfectly healthy on the outside, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, however, he had some medical problems, didn't he?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember 2017, December, when he had back surgery?
Yes, sir.
How old were you at that time?
10 or 9 or 10.
Okay. Do you know why he had to have back surgery?
Because he lifted we had a big light pole in our backyard next to our garage. He lifted it up just so he could move it to a different location. And that's when he messed up his back.
He did what?
Picked up a light pole by himself and messed up his back.
A light pole?
Couldn't he have gotten any help?
Of course, but it's just how he is. He wants to do everything by himself.
Okay, and he injured his back. And he had to have surgery.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember whether he liked going to the hospital?
Not at all.
After this first surgery, did he say anything around the house that would make you believe that he hated hospitals?
that he never wanted to be at a hospital. He just didn't like hospitals.
You like doctors?
No.
Okay. Now,
did he like pharmacists? Oh wait, sorry.
When in 2018 there was an episode that forced him to go to the hospital as well. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
You were what, 11 at that time? 12? Oh, wait a minute. 11, 12?
Say 10 or 11, yes.
10 or 11, I'm sorry. What happened to him in October of 2018? Do you recall? When he got sick?
He got sick, and I feel like around that time it was when you could just notice that he started to change a little bit.
How did he start to change, sir?
Just forgetting stuff all the time. And he was more aggressive for sure.
Towards whom? Aggressive?
Towards everybody.
You call it roid rage?
What was he forgetting? What was he forgetting at that time?
Just like things that he had to do, that he had planned, and he would just forget about it. And he just leave stuff at the house all the time. Just stuff that was unusual. Like he always had everything kept together. Pretty nice.
Okay. Right after October 31st, he had to go to the hospital very soon thereafter on November the 2nd of 2018, right?
Yes.
What was wrong with him then? It was just a couple of days later.
I feel like...
Do you remember what was wrong with him?
I don't know exactly what was wrong with him.
I mean, I'm not looking for medical terms, but what did you observe?
I almost said he had brain fog almost. Like it was just...
Brain fog, you said? Okay. Did he complain of headaches?
Not that I remember.
Okay. How long did he stay in the hospital that time? Like a week, 5 days?
5 days or a week.
Do you remember him coming back home from the hospital? You remember that?
Not really.
But at some point he returned home from the hospital, right?
Yes.
How did he act then?
He acted fine. He always tried to paint a picture for the kids, I guess, to just make us not worry about him or something. I don't know, but he acted fine. It was just still the same things of him forgetting stuff and him just, I don't know, I felt like he was less happy.
Was his condition, or condition as you saw it, improving, or was it getting worse?
Getting worse.
And let's say in January of 2018, what was he doing that makes you believe that he was getting worse?
Just continue to constantly forget things, and he would have more and more just snaps, like when he would just snap and just get super angry all the time.
Did he ever say that he was in some kind of physical discomfort?
No, not to me.
Okay. Did he look like he was in physical discomfort?
In my eyes, he was perfectly okay. In my eyes.
In the eyes of a 10-year-old.
How about the beginning of February? Getting worse?
Yeah. And
is that gold? Is he showing some bling? Or is that rope?
He just didn't want to do stuff as much anymore. He wouldn't. We used to always go out and do stuff together, and me and him would, and he just wasn't as active anymore. Didn't feel like doing anything.
He was only 38, wasn't he?
Yes.
Did he look to you like he lost interest in life? Or did he perhaps have some limitations that caused him not to enjoy what he was doing?
I think he was just too worried about everything. He was always worried about money. He was always worried about everything in his life, that he just wanted everything to be perfect for him and us. And I feel like that was his biggest worry.
What is that flashing red light? Those are not allowed
Throughout
in court.
the years that we've been discussing here, your father has taken some medications. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes, sir.
What kind of medications did he take? Or whatever he took that looked like medications?
He would take his supplements, which was 30 pills a day every morning, and then his anabolics, which are steroids, And
this portion of the trial sponsored by
Did he ever
Levi's.
take any insulin?
I didn't see him personally take it. No, I didn't see him personally take it.
Did he ever inject anything?
Definitely steroids.
Okay. Now, was there a time when he was supposed to take some medication for any type of seizures? He had seizures, right?
Yes.
Convulsions? Did he have convulsions, seizures?
Yes, but I didn't witness them.
Okay.
In person, no.
Was he ever taking any medication for that?
Not to my knowledge, but I'm sure that he was,
Now,
with
let
all
me-
of the pills that he was taking.
Let me ask you this. He didn't have a very high opinion of doctors, did he?
No,
And if a doctor prescribed something and he didn't want to take it, he wouldn't take it.
you're right.
You don't know exactly what the those substances were in the amount of what 30 pills a day. He had his own cabinet for that, right?
Of course.
Tell the jury about his cabinet that he had all this medication in, or whatever it was.
It was just it was a long, tall cabinet, and it just had all of his supplements and pills that he took, and he would get every bottle down every morning, and he would lay it out on the counter, and then I'd stand right next to him. He'd make his protein shake, and he'd take 2 handfuls and take the first handful, chug his protein shake, take the second handful, chug his protein shake, and finish it, and that'd be it. He'd be ready to start his day.
How long has he been doing that?
Since I was a baby.
Okay. Where was he getting all that stuff?
He did shop at GNC a lot, but that was only for his supplements. And then he used to brag all the time about him getting his steroids from Mexico. I wouldn't necessarily say brag, but he would always say it was from Mexico.
What did he get from Mexico? Do you know?
I don't know the name of the steroid, but it was definitely an anabolic.
Do you ever see a bottle of it?
There's a white box that would come, and I never touched it or anything.
Was there anything on the box that suggested that it was not for human consumption?
I never really read it,
Okay.
to be honest.
Okay. Weren't you concerned that your dad was taking some stuff from Mexico?
I asked him for some when I was little, because I asked him what it did, and he said, "To make you strong." And I said, "Can I have some then?" And he said, "No, maybe when you're older." And with my lack of knowledge, with the knowledge I have now of it, yes, for sure. But my lack of knowledge back then, no, I was not scared. I figured that everything that he did, he was in control of, and I felt like he was always, I don't know, I just always felt safe around him, everything that he did.
Did he talk to you in the hospital in 2018 when he was there?
I would like to say yes.
Do you remember a conversation that he had with you and I believe your sister about
Interesting answer.
kind of being very pessimistic about life and his life and the existence in this world? What was he saying?
I can't give you the answer on that.
Okay. Okay. Your father was, his profession was an IT man? Is that what
Yes,
his
sir.
profession was?
Yes, sir.
A lot of
What did it
nodding
mean to
in, this,
you?
in the gallery.
I remember him doing several buildings, like wiring buildings and always working on computers and stuff. And I just figured he was just a regular guy.
Well, let me ask you this one more thing about this computer business. He was ordering those supplements from Mexico through what channels? Computer?
I would say computer.
Okay. Did you ever see anything that had the name Nootropics?
No.
Okay. All right. So he was an IT man, whatever that means, and he worked on computers a lot?
Yes, sir.
Around 2017, 2019, did he work for any company? Or did he have his own business?
I don't remember exactly when he got laid off from the workforce, but I know they started their business around that time.
They being your mom and your dad?
Yes, sir.
And what business was that?
Their contracting business.
They contracted with whom?
Federal government.
And you remember that?
Yes.
Who was working on the contracts?
My dad.
Was there ever a time when your father was working on the contracts and your mom was reading a book?
Yes, sir.
Tell us about it.
My dad and my mom were laying in the room in bed together, and I was in there. I was young, and I was laying in between them, and my mom was watching a movie while she had a book in her hand. And my dad was on his computer, and he was going through contracts, and you could just see thousands of dollars on the contracts. And I asked him what they were, and that was the day that he found a 50 cal contract that I helped him with. And
what? Wait.
It just kept going from there. He just never got off. We were in the hunting stand, and he was still on his computer working on contracts.
And your mom was watching a movie?
Yes, sir.
She didn't have anything to do with that contract.
I helped my dad get a 50 cal federal contract.
Was
as
your
a 10-year-old?
father somewhat secretive about his business?
What?
There.
Obviously wouldn't discuss it with a 13-year-old or 10-year-old on the business level of the MBA and his associates, but what did he tell you about his business?
That the business had to be a woman-owned business so they could get more contracts.
This is true.
Why is that?
I don't remember exactly what he said about it, but
Preference.
it was always that they could get better contracts of it being a woman-owned business.
Okay.
Her owning 51%, him owning 49%.
And that's what he owned as a minority
Yes, sir.
shareholder, or was just a corporation, or was it partnership? What was it?
I think we all know who wore the pants in the situation. He definitely ran it way more than she.
Your father was a dominant figure.
Of course.
Was he a dominant figure in the life of the marriage, or just generally speaking, he was a dominating character?
Both.
Both. By the way, was there ever a time when he took Natalie's phone?
Yes.
Why is that? Well, was he? Well, let me strike this. Was he a controlling man?
Very.
Tell the jury about it.
My mom was at work. She used to work at Access Health down towards where's that place? I don't remember the exact location, but she used to work at Access Health, and she had a coworker that hit on her. And my dad pulled up, and he either had a baseball bat or something. Not my dad, the guy that hit on my mom. And yeah, he took that baseball bat from him and handled business. And there's several occasions that are like that. And he would always check her phone. It's just him just being crazy.
Well, was he a jealous man?
There. He
But
wanted what was his.
Was he also controlling in terms of checking the computers, checking the phones?
Yes. He would monitor my phone. He'd monitor everybody's phone in our house. Everybody's.
So some of the messages that were played here earlier
I'm struggling with this
were at the
testimony.
time of August. Do you remember when he took my client's phone?
Not the exact date, no.
Okay.
It was multiple times that he had her phone.
Did he ever use her cell phone?
I'm sure.
Now, your mother was obviously working as a pharmacist at one point, right?
Yes, sir.
It was a full-time job, right?
Yes, sir.
And she was raising the two of you, that is you and your sister.
Yes, sir.
Who was running the house in terms of cooking meals, cleaning, doing all of these things?
My mom.
What was your father doing at that time?
He was always either with Chris Davis or doing something. He's just
business?
Yeah. They were always at our airport hangar a lot. Those two were.
Who owned that airport hangar?
We owned an airport hangar. It was a big airport hangar, and then I can't remember if we had two airport hangars. We had one big one, one small one, or Chris owned two.
Okay.
It was either one of them. He owned one.
Did you guys have a helicopter?
I know we had a plane in there, but we didn't have a helicopter. No, I don't think.
Well, it looks like you guys around 2018, 17, 18, 19 led a pretty good life.
Yes, sir.
You guys had a helicopter, hangar. You could fly, well, you had a plane.
Anywhere.
You could fly whenever you wanted to.
Yes, sir.
Had a couple of motorcycles, right?
Yes, sir.
You were too young to ride them, right?
No, sir.
No? A couple of cars?
Yes, sir.
In fact, more than one car. What do you guys have?
I remember them buying. We had 2 Yukons, one white one and one gray, or a silver
Yukon.
collar, and we ended up giving the white one, I think, to Jennifer Davis. It was either the white one or the silver one to one of them, and he had his GMC truck and his Shelby Cobra, which was.
You wanted to drive that, didn't you?
I wanted that car. Yes.
You wanted
yes, sir.
It was an expensive car. It was an antique.
Yes, sir.
All right. How about the houses, homes? How many did you guys have?
was a kid.
We had our house on 4H Lake Road, and then we had he ended up buying a house for Chris Davis's aunt. I think it was her aunt, or somehow they're related, and rented it out to her and renovated it, and the hangars.
How about boats?
Boats. We had 2 boats. We had a brand new wave boat before the year even started. I think it was like a brand new 2020 boat or something like that.
Do you remember going to a boat sale with your parents?
Yes, sir.
Didn't your father buy 3 of them?
I didn't know that he bought 3 of them, but I know that he had 2.
Oh, yeah, maybe about 2. Okay. But he bought them.
Yes, sir.
All right. You went to good schools, right?
Yes, sir.
Private schools?
No, sir.
No, you went to public schools?
Yes, sir.
You had everything that the kids could desire.
Yes, sir.
Materially.
Yes,
right?
sir.
Took some nice vacations.
Wonderful vacations.
Where'd you go?
Hawaii. We go to New York all the time with the Davises.
New York City?
Yes, sir.
Not a cheap place. All right. Okay, where else did you go?
We'd go to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, that place. We went and saw a couple college World Series baseball games in Omaha. And
well, how about a place called Paris, France?
Paris, yeah, we went to Paris, France. Been to a few
beaches?
places. Ocracoke Island.
Ooh.
Been to a few beaches. Yes.
Who paid for all of this?
He did.
Your dad?
Yes.
And who did you go with? Just the entire family? Or
The
did you
entire
take-
family and the Davises.
And your father footed the bill for everybody?
Maybe not for the Davises so much, but our family, of course, yes. He took care of us. He most definitely bought their dinner a good bit.
Your father was a generous person, wasn't he?
Yes, sir.
Happy when he had plenty of cash on hand.
That was when he was happy.
And he had plenty of money to spend. Right?
Yes, sir.
Except that this money came from the investors. Isn't that true? Do you know anything about that?
I don't.
Don't tell anyone about OPX.
Was there a time when anybody invested in their business? Do you know?
Not that I can completely remember now.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
On February the 6th, when your father collapsed, you were in school, right?
Yes, sir.
When you returned home, who was at that location?
I know my mom was there. I can't remember if what's her name? The Hamiltons were there, and I think Thomas was there.
Okay.
Thomas was there.
Did your mother appear to be concerned about your father?
Of course.
As long as the state doesn't object.
And in fact, she went into the vehicle that took him to the hospital, right? Leaving you and your sister with the Treadways, right? When your father went to the hospital that day.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. And she was holding his hand as they were leaving, right?
Yes. Crying.
Crying.
Yes.
After your father's death, what was your mother like?
I feel like she was very strong.
She still did her business. She still did her business. True.
Yes, sir.
Was she broken-hearted because of the death of her husband?
Very. We all were.
If I may have a second, Your Honor.
Certainly.
I'm concerned when he was a child, he was 10 years old.
These are all the questions I have of this witness, Your Honor.
Gives the most
All right, cross-examination.
definitive answers to some pertinent questions.
In your lifetime, did you ever see your mom give your dad medication? Not Motrin or anything like that?
No.
Okay. And you testified that he injected what you called his anabolics, right?
Yes.
Did you ever watch him do that?
When I was little.
And if there was testimony here today that he was taking what you're referring to as anabolics orally, would you call that false?
No, he had droppers too.
Okay. Did your parents share finances when your dad was around?
I object to the form of the question. The word share is very...
Perhaps you could rephrase, Ms. Akron.
Trying to figure out how to rephrase, Your Honor.
Okay.
Are you aware if they spent money out of the same accounts?
Yeah. Okay. Or I'm sure that he just bought it for. Used his own money.
Would it surprise you to know that both of their names were on a number of accounts?
Could you repeat that again?
Would it surprise you to know that both of their names were on several different bank accounts?
No, not really.
That's all the questions I have, Your Honor.
All right. Redirect, Mr. Victor.
I do not have a redirect examination, Your Honor.
Oh, man.
Very well. Any reason to hold this young man?
With the admonitions of the appearance on camera and whatnot.
All right.
I do not. He can be excused.
All right. Let me explain to you. I have made certain that your face is not shown on camera or on screen. You can step down and you are released. However, if you choose to sit in the courtroom, your face will probably be portrayed on camera. And I'm just giving you that admonition that you can do as you will and as you wish. You may step down now and you are excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Okay, so...
Certainly.
A 10-year-old helping on a 50 cal government contract. I'm going to call BS on that one. Him saying we had an airplane, we owned a hangar. Everyone else said they were looking to buy a hangar. They didn't own one. I'm not... I don't doubt that he remembers some things, but it sounds like he's either rehearsed them in their mind or they've been rehearsed to him enough that he believes certain things are true, which may not be. He is emphatic, definitive with his understanding that he knows it was anabolic, what, I can't even say the word, the anabolic steroids. I'm struggling. I'm struggling with that. Oh, Sicky lawyer got better. Sicky lawyer got better. Must have borrowed somebody's insulin. And the huge proud parent smiles we got from Natalie with each correct answer. Just felt wrong. It felt wrong. Danny Austin gifted 5 memberships. Thank you very much, Danny. Appreciate that. Yeah, way too much detail about some things and not enough about the others. I realize he's juvenile. The state runs the risk of alienating the jury if they really come down on him hard. He's a kid. But I think a couple of questions could be phrased in a way that it wouldn't, it would basically trap him, would make him look bad to the jury, but just be like, hey, you really admired your dad, yeah? Do you liked being involved in what he did, yeah? Can you tell us more about the 50 cal contract and how you helped? I mean, he starts the story saying, you know, basically, if you fill in the blanks, it goes something like this. I'm taking some creative liberty here. I had a nightmare. I couldn't sleep. I went into my parents' room, laid down in their bed, and then I helped my dad win a 50 cal contract from the federal
Members
government
of
on
the
his
jury,
laptop.
I
while
have
Mom's
good
reading the
news
book.
and bad news, I suppose, and I don't know how you'll take this. In any trial, you have scheduling difficulties, especially when you have expert witnesses, because experts are extremely busy, and we do everything that we can to accommodate their schedules. And I ask you, certainly do not take this out on them, because they do the best they can, and we do the best we can in terms of scheduling. The situation is such that the defense has no further witnesses to present right now. So we can come back tomorrow. The expert witnesses lined up for the defense, and we have 2 or perhaps 3 of them, are not available until Monday. And rather than to piecemeal this thing and have you come in tomorrow and maybe hear a little bit of testimony and then come back and start again on Monday, I'm going to give you the day off tomorrow. We won't work tomorrow. And you should anticipate that we will have a full day on Monday, certainly with experts and maybe with other testimony as well. Now, the good news is we're winding down this case. You can see that we're making progress, and I think that I can tell you with some affirmation that we'll be finished Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. So this is not going to drag on for 4 weeks or longer, as we thought at the outset. We're cutting down and streamlining the process so that we can get this to you and get this case resolved as soon as possible. But the upshot of the matter is we don't have anything further to present to you today, so you'll get to go home and watch Jennifer Hudson or Dr. Phil on TV this afternoon. And you don't have to come back tomorrow with the understanding that you'll be here Monday and Tuesday and perhaps Wednesday of next week. This is a very dangerous time, and you see how much effort we've put into this case, and the attorneys have all worked very hard, and we have done everything possible to get this case ready for you. Please do not endanger the process by talking to folks over the weekend. Maybe some of you will go back to work tomorrow, and your coworkers will attack you. They'll want to know what's going on. People have been watching this on TV. They've been seeing it on the news and reading about it in the newspaper, and so they will come up to you and they'll want to find out the juicy details of the case, and they'll want inside information. Please refrain from talking to these folks, and with your relatives and with your friends, who will all accost you and want to know about the case. And you can certainly put the blame on me. You can tell them that I'm a hateful old judge and that you're afraid of what I might do, and that I have warned you and threatened you, and that you just can't take the chance of going to jail. You don't have to worry necessarily about going to jail, but you can say that if you wish, to get people off your back so that you don't have to put up with folks hounding you for information. Please do not read anything online. Don't do any research. Refrain from talking to anyone, receiving any information of any kind, so that when you come back Monday, we'll have things lined out for you, and we can proceed. I don't anticipate that next week we'll have any difficulties. I think we can have the process flow better than it has, and we can present the case to you until its finality. Okay? Nobody's throwing tomatoes at me, so I'm happy with that. And again, I'm sorry we couldn't get more accomplished today and tomorrow, but that's just the way it is, and I ask you not to hold it against me, and certainly not against the attorneys, because we're doing the very best that we can. All right, with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'll let you go. I'll have a treat for you on Monday. I haven't decided what it is, so it'll be a surprise. And that will encourage you to come back. You'll have to find out what it is. So plan on being here at 9 o'clock. The case is not over, obviously. We have much more to hear and see. So come back Monday, be in your jury room a little bit before 9, and we'll try to start promptly, and we will work through hard and get this matter concluded. Okay? All right. I'm glad to see smiling faces.
That's my thought.
Very
Crispy
well. You
bars.
can go with the
Crispy
bailiff
bars.
now and have a wonderful weekend.
All right, so they're going to leave for the day. As they do that, I still am not made up on this case. I realize we're through the state's case and a good portion into the defense, but I have questions.
All right, I think we're all disappointed that we can't go farther today and tomorrow, but it is what it is, and we have to live with the schedule that we have. Is there anything further that we need to place on the record or discuss before we close out until Monday?
That's from the state, Your Honor. Thank you.
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you all very much, and have a good. Court is in recess.
Okay, they're in recess. I was trying to answer the. Here we go. Hello. Hello. Oh, I just barely missed it. We had a burner phone call. Perfect timing, and I couldn't get to it quick enough. Bummer. All right, here's where I'm at. Ready? Let me give you a hot take, and I usually wait till the end to do this, but let me give you my thought process. We'll go full screen for this one because I'm deep in thought. Wow, a little lint, a little dust. All right, here are my issues that I have so far with this case. I've got some bugs. There's a shadow somewhere. The shadow knows. The experts can't definitively say that it was this insulin that killed him. They say it's most likely because there's no other evidence of something else that did it. I struggle with them saying it's the most likely outcome because the threshold for conviction is pretty high. It's beyond a reasonable doubt. They say we don't see any evidence of anything else that would cause it. So I would say if I were a doctor, I would treat that as the symptom. Okay, the threshold for a doctor choosing how to treat you is much lower than beyond reasonable doubt. I'm struggling with that, especially with the knowledge that we do have on whether or not, I mean, they may have credibility issues, but we do have the sister, we have the daughter, the son, the defendant, friends that are all saying he was taking a bunch of stuff. And I don't know what that does. I don't know what it was. And is it possible that some of the stuff he was taking might have messed with his health, or that he had a health condition he was just worried that was going to get him, and he was just trying to fight it off and be like, I'm going to power through this, just be stronger and better and healthier, so whatever it is that's coming on, won't happen. I don't know. And if I had to decide right now, I'd have to say not guilty. Even though in my heart, I believe that there's, I think, better than the 51% chance that she's responsible for this. It might not have been exactly the way the state tells it, but it seems to me that more likely than not, that she's guilty. But that's not the threshold the court asks the jury to find guilt at. So that's where I'm sitting right now. I don't know. Convince me I'm wrong. Convince me I'm wrong. We'll do a poll later on as it goes on, but who besides Natalie has told anyone about his health issues? Okay, but I have health issues I don't tell people about. I'm a guy, I can relate. That's the problem. I'm like, yeah, I would do the same thing. I wouldn't take a whole handful of pills. That's not my thing, right? If I'm feeling really bad, I might take an ibuprofen pill. And maybe if it doesn't get better, in a few hours, I might take an aspirin as well. But I mean, the behavior that he's reporting, hating hospitals. I've got family members who are saying, "Don't you dare put me in a hospital." Okay, I will come back and haunt you if you put me in a hospital. So all these things are like reasonable to me, even though they're highly suspicious. I also because maybe it's because of my background working with the federal government, being familiar, worked with DFAS, know all about wide area workflow. I've been in the buildings that those contracts ran through, probably at the same time they were attempting to run them through. And I have a really, really hard time believing the state's story that Michael just was oblivious and had no clue that they actually had not won a single contract. That there was no money coming. I cannot. I know the systems too well. If he did what he said he did, and everyone's testifying that he did, even what the state is admitting he did, he was in eyeballs deep in that stuff. And maybe they were just, they're chapped because by the time they finally caught on to this scam, he was dead, and now they're just going after her. But to pin everything on her, I cannot see that. Now we're talking about the Ponzi scheme. She might be 100% responsible for his death, but I'm struggling there. So that's where I'm standing right now. I realize the Ponzi scheme looks really bad on her, but I would hate to see her convicted of murder because she's guilty of a Ponzi scheme. If she's convicted of murder, it should be that she was guilty of murder and not the other. There's plenty of motive, sort of, if you believe the state story that Michael had no clue and he was just, spending checks as fast as he could and believed that it was just raining money in that household. I don't know. Who takes a pic of husband instead of calling 911? I give a little bit of leeway there, believe it or not. If what the kid said was true, and we're hearing from the kids a different story of what dad was like at home, and dad at home may have even been a little scary. He had already been to the hospital once. I don't know. I'm trying to give them a little room on that one. I don't think I would do the same thing, but yeah. All right. That's all. Girl couch time. I don't know. That seems weird. It's rehearsed and slightly unbelievable. Yes, but it's also possible and in a little way reasonable. That's for me. It's got to be beyond all reasonable doubt, and I'm not quite there yet. Maybe I need the state to come through in closing and spell it out a little better so that I can have all the facts back to back and just refresh in my mind what we learned and when we learned it and how they fit together. It does look bad. Do I think she's guilty? Yes. Of the Ponzi scheme? 100%.
Call from Master Ayden.
Master Ayden, this is Scott. How are you doing?
How you doing? I was going to shed a little bit of something to this case, only because I'm a type 2 diabetic, and I kind of know what he kind of maybe went through. Because I went through things like that when I was taking something called Novolog. It's the same thing. It's a fast-acting insulin. I guess when you take too much of it, it does feel like you're going to go into some kind of a coma of some sort.
Yeah.
If she somehow got him to sleep, however that may be, and he was injected with it or he took it or something like that, that could definitely kill you if the act was done after he was asleep. Mm-hmm.
I wish I knew that better, and at the same time, I'm very grateful that I don't understand that world as well as you do.
Thank God you don't.
It's not something I'd wish on anybody. I've had some friends and obviously some distant family members that have dealt with that disease, and it's a life changer.
Yeah,
I mean it's
definitely a life changer. I actually went through some episodes like that. I took some insulin like 2 weeks ago, and my sugar wasn't that high for me to take it, but I took it because I'm supposed to take it every day. But waking up at like 2 o'clock in the morning feeling like, oh man, I don't even know if I'm going to make it. Yeah. Barely tapping the wife saying, hey, I need some soda or something to kind of get the sugar up and going. Yeah. It's a terrible feeling. Very scary.
Yeah. I think if I were on the jury to convict her for a Ponzi scheme, they've got my vote. They've got my vote.
Right.
I'm not ready to convict on murder yet.
You know what? First degree, I'm not there yet, but negligent homicide definitely could be there. Because if you slumped over on the couch and you're just kind of watching me, you're sending pictures of me, and I'm literally, hindsight, I'm dying.
Oh yeah,
negligent homicide is
he
so
had a
easy for
seizure.
me.
He fell. He hit his head on the counter so hard it left a dent, and he's still laying on the floor.
Right.
We'll just let him sleep it off. Yeah, that might be negligent homicide for sure, especially from somebody who's got at least some medical training as a pharmacist. I know she's not a doctor, but understanding just a little bit of what symptoms are life threatening and what are not. I think that could be there. Yeah.
Now, I was kind of dancing with murder at first because there's not a lot of things that could lower your blood sugar. And the fact that the coincidental insulin was there at the time, and there's evidence that his sugar was low. So just kind of connecting those.
Is that the only thing that would do it, though?
But it's something that could have done it. It's almost like saying, it's like if I bought a black mamba out of nowhere. I just came home with a pet black mamba, and there was poison in the system, but there's no evidence otherwise. It's like, it to me, it's just too close coincidental. You got the insulin, it's there. It's maybe not the murder weapon, but it is there. Did
the kids sway you at all? Enter their testimony?
No, none of them did. Not a single one. Because I kind of felt like whatever problems they had, it's not like the other case where the whole family was involved in their parents' mess. I feel like if she did it, she wouldn't. It was in the cover of night. The kids were maybe surprised that he was laid out like that. And if she had the motive, let's say in a make-believe world, she did it, like absolutely there, but there's just no evidence. I don't think she would have involved the kids because money wasn't the issue.
Right. I don't know. When it all comes unraveled, we see people take steps like this. This is Murdaugh, right? This is the end of Murdaugh's reign as his scam was coming unraveled. It ends up in murder, and it makes sense. It fits the bill. We've got the same thing with potentially, allegedly, with Corey Richens in Utah, with businesses, big spending, living high on the hog, keeping up appearances, lying to a spouse, and then all this allegedly, and then falling apart and having to get rid of the spouse. So it fits. It fits the pattern very well. But I can't convict Natalie because she looks a lot like Corey, and I think Corey's guilty.
Right. But negligent homicide, I'm certainly there. Because I always have a saying, money sometimes spells murder.
Yeah.
That's my philosophy.
Well,
I'm definitely down on negligent homicide, for sure.
Awesome. Appreciate the thoughts. Thanks as always. It's wonderful to talk to you. Have yourself a wonderful weekend.
All right.
Alrighty.
You too.
We'll see you, man. Bye-bye. All right. We have not found a winner yet in our button contest. And by buttons, I mean all the buttons. See, we got a box. We got a special delivery. Is it for me? I don't know what it is. What did I order? Even has I should probably check the name before I open it. It's a surprise. It's not for me. I can't show you guys. It's a surprise. It's not for me, but you can't open it. I'm going to put the sticker on it, keep it closed. There we go. Sorry, I opened somebody's present. All right. Let's see. No, I have not ordered a Magic 8-Ball yet. I was looking at one. I just didn't click the button. I was thinking, where would I put it on my desk? And I can't think of where it would go. And I just didn't click since then. All right. The button contest. All the buttons you see here, everywhere. If it is connected to something that when you press it or when you manipulate the button, it performs some sort of electronic function. And it's in my studio. I've counted it. And believe me, I've been through this. It took hours and hours and hours to go through and double check and triple check. And we do have a contest. We are only taking submissions through this form so we can track everything. The first person to get it right is going to win. And I think I'm going to gift the winner something.
Gossip, rumor, and innuendo.
Kathy, I have to answer your question, Kathy. Hang on one second.
Yes.
Can you hold on the phone for a second?
Okay.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So anyway, submit your form. You get 3 guesses, and the person who is the closest, if we don't find a winner, the person who is the closest first will win, because we have the timestamps of everything. If we do have somebody who gets it right on the nose, they're going to be the winner. So anyway, Kathy, you asked a question before I let you. I know you called and you want to talk, but before you do that, you asked a question and said, "What is 50 cal?" The 50 cal contract.
Yes, what is it?
50 cal is referring to 50 caliber. It's one of the largest caliber of rifles, I think, you can shoot. So you can get this. Sometimes it's mounted on a helicopter. It's like the gun from the side of the helicopter. That's a 50 cal. You can get like a Barrett, the big huge gun that has sort of like the little triangle on the end with the muzzle brake, and it looks like it's just oversized. That's the 50 cal, and it's very, very powerful. It shoots through a very heavy plate steel. It's an armor piercing round. It can be incendiary. I think it's just a massive bullet, and apparently the government needs it.
Yikes.
So, and a 10-year-old can help you win the contract with the government, apparently, if you know the right 10-year-old.
Okay, good for him. That's crazy. Listen, I was team. She did it. She's terrible. She's guilty. And then I listened to this testimony. Actually, was live yesterday, and I watched the replay on it, and I feel badly for her. I believe the kids, and I think this was a public service unaliving because he was such a jerk.
So you say that last part one more time. You believe what?
I said I believe it was a public service unaliving
I was afraid that's what you had
such
said.
a jerk. She couldn't
sad.
take it anymore. It's exactly Murdaugh. He was mad. He was so angry at whatever happened at the local bank that they had to call his friend to come there and calm him down. Now he's going to get on a plane and fly someplace else and get what has to be terrible news. And there's not going to be a local friend to come and calm him down. She's like, ruh-roh, Rorge. So she did what she had to do. Plus, he was a jerk.
So let me.
I say set her free.
let me break this down for some people. Kathy, you have a channel called Gossip, Rumor, and Innuendo, where you give a hot take every morning on just the things that are happening. A lot of people start their day with that, and it will make your belly ache. You'll laugh, you'll cry. Some of you will nod, and some of you will shake your head and say, "I can't believe she just said that." And thanks for sharing, giving us a little taste of what you can get on that channel. I will say this. Let me.
Yes, please.
I'm not with you on the PSU, but I do. It did sort of like ring like weird every time a friend would say, "Hey, Mike, this is so and so. Don't hit me, but I'm gonna."
Exactly.
Okay, the guy had something wrong or different about him that everybody was walking on pins and needles around him, even when he was unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
That for me, there's like a red flag. Something's wrong. So I'm with you there. And that could play into why we're not going to take him to the hospital, because you never know what he's going to do to us if he finds out it was me. So
also, he might just die, and then you could be done with it and not have to do all this tiptoe walking.
Yeah, we don't
Let
recommend
that lady
that.
Free.
We don't recommend that.
Well, yeah, obviously, we here at Gossip Rumor and Innuendo, LLC, don't sue me, do not advocate for the unfortunate unaliving of others.
You need to move the "don't sue me" in front of the LLC.
Yes. Whatever. However, if nobody can see you and there is a low chance of getting caught, I didn't see nothing. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Kathy, thanks for your hot take. I love having you chat.
You're
Appreciate
very welcome.
It. Good talking to you. We'll see you.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
Kathy says the quiet part out loud. That's the best way to describe her. So, it's a hot take. It's a little bit. I think I have to admit, Kathy, you're a little bit off almost always. There's never been a morning, and this is just me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm always wrong. But there's never been a morning, and I say this now that I've hung up with you on the phone. I'm sorry. There's never been a morning when I'm like, that's it. She's nailed it. She's got it. It's always got a little bit of edge and a little bit of humor mixed in, and some of it's dark humor. So please don't be offended by anything she said. Kathy is a great person. Love her. Go check out her channel. Gossip, Rumor, and Innuendo. Appreciate it. And we are all caught up. We are. We made it. We made it all the way. So Monday, when we begin trial again and find out exactly what treats the judge has in store for the jury, we're going to be watching live and no risk of spoilers. Thank you, everybody, for indulging us on the no spoilers as we got to experience this belated for the first time through watching on the catch up. Anyway, so keep your guesses coming in on the button submission, the button how many buttons contest, and the winner. I think I've said I'm thinking of gifting the winner. It's not a contest. I'm gifting the winner. Probably something equal in value to a year's membership on the channel, and it might be in the form of, something that they could use and turn around and spend somewhere else. So we'll figure out how to do that without getting sued by the lawyers, and then hopefully somebody wins. I can tell you we are within one. Somebody is within one button of being right. Can you give us a range? No, I can't, because it wouldn't be fair to everyone who's already guessed. That's the only thing. Speaking of the contest, Amber, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Happy Friday to you. Thanks for your work today.
Happy Friday. Not a problem. I wanted to answer some questions from chat about the guesses for this button thing. Those of you that have already submitted, when we first started this, your submissions are still saved. I still have them.
I was kicked back, taking it easy.
Sorry, Amber.
Me too.
That just happened.
So,
that was not me.
So, if you click on the same form link, yes, you can go in and add 2 additional guesses if you've already submitted your initial guess. I made it to where you should have an edit response option.
Yeah, and if you've already voted, you have the advantage of knowing that your first guess was wrong, where someone else who hasn't voted yet does not have.
Thank you, sir. You're my new best friend.
So I think no one's being disadvantaged by the system. You basically go back in, you click the edit my answer button, and you will find there's answer 2 and answer 3. Just don't change your first answer. We don't need that changed. But put 2 and 3 in, and if you haven't voted at all, just put 1, 2, and 3 in, and those are your guesses.
When are we going to break
First person to get it in, because every entry is timestamped, will be the winner. So, are people guessing high or low? Yes, Mrs. R.A. Truthfully,
I wasn't sure how to answer that one.
Truthfully, I don't know, because I still have not figured out how to use Google Forms, and Amber's used a Google form of some sort that apparently I have access to, but all she will do is send me screenshots of like, oh, we're getting closer. Here's the range of people that are in the ballpark.
I mean, if you would look at your email where it shows you that you've been invited to.
Is it February yet? Is it February? I looked at it January 1st. I will look at it on February 1st.
I'm just saying, I make sure he has access and control to everything.
Right.
I
just like Natalie had control with everything in this case, right?
Goodbye.
Okay. Amber, she hangs up on me.
I'm not a cat.
Amber's absolutely amazing. I give her a hard time, but she is phenomenal. Let's see. Let's see.
I think I'm about to catch a whooping.
Let me see.
Is that correct?
There it is. Oh, that's Karen Reed stuff. Hang on. Amber, I'm looking for your email.
And now that Murdoch stole it.
CrimeCon. Courtroom
Somebody just sent me a video of roaches fighting.
Well, while I'm looking at this, Courtroom Confidential, we did an interview this week with Courtroom Confidential. Joshua was absolutely amazing. It's going to be out, not this next week, but the week after. You might want to go and subscribe to their channel, click the like button, and make sure you've got notifications turned on, because when it does go live, I'll be over there on their channel. Ooh, party, says Nikki. I'll be on their channel, and we'll be just live commenting, and it will be the first time I've ever watched myself.
Bring the jury.
I don't go back and watch myself. I do not. So I will be mortified throughout the entire thing, and you guys will be like, oh, yay, cool. So it'll be I think in 2 weeks. It depends. I still have to get some pictures and stuff over to them for their editor. But Courtroom Confidential. When you go over there, just find a video to watch, the one that interests you. There are a bunch.
Are we going to address subject matter jurisdiction?
Click the like button and then leave a comment
my new best friend.
and let them know that you came from here. That would be great. All right. This gray-haired ZZ Top dude was very sus. He was definitely helping her with a scam, maybe even an affair. Ooh, wow, Corey. That's I can't. Well, when you say maybe, it would be within the realm of possibilities. Although I have to say I've seen no evidence to support that. But it did seem sus. But we did. Thank you, by the way. I think it was Jedi Jess sent me the link to the document. There was, in fact, a case where I think it was Bledsoe. The investigator was named in a trial where there was alleged beating that took place of a victim by the police, and it was settled, something like that. Yeah, it looks pretty bad, and they're like, we just like to move on with our life, so we're going to settle. We're not admitting guilt, but so yeah, I can see why he said no. I don't want to do this. Yes,
in front of the Walmart.
Friday Night Frenzy tonight. I might pop in for a little bit, not on the channel, but in chat, just to hear what the great ones are talking about. Don't remember the number on my first vote. It's all right. Let's see. Josh is like, oh, another Josh. I thought you were talking about me. Josh, you're great as well. You guys are loving these sound bites. Apparently, it's time to go because you guys are getting antsy. Will there be an FNF? I believe so. I haven't seen... Well, is Ian still in Las Vegas? Imagine FNF is doing Coburger.
Thank you, sir. You're my new best friend.
Rob wasn't sure last week. I hope so. Let's see. I think that's all. He's home. Oh, good. That's good. I know he was missing his dogs. And so that's cool. All right. With that... My Roadcaster was about to power down all by itself. That's weird. There we go. Rob's not posted yet. We'll keep an eye out to see if he goes live tonight. Runkle might babysit. Got a call, but it cut off. Don't know who it was. You guys, have yourself a wonderful weekend. If you missed the podcast last night, do go back and watch it. It was a lot of fun. I think you'll enjoy it. I might have told a few stories. I have to tell you that I talked about a stethoscope on the podcast. And while I was talking with Thomas after the podcast, I got a text from a family member saying, I have your stethoscope. You're welcome to come pick it up, or I can mail it to you. So I just thought I'd give you that. That was funny. It was really funny. All right. If you need to hear the stethoscope story, you have to go back. So that's worth watching the podcast all by itself. Tonight when you go home, please hug the people you love, smile at someone, make their day just a little bit better, and please stay safe. We go live Monday morning, live with the West Virginia versus Natalie Cochran case. Whew, I thought I'd never be able to say that, but it's going to be awesome. You guys have a great weekend. Stay healthy, stay warm, have fun. We'll see you. Bye.
Thank you, sir. You're my new best friend.
Don't miss the forest for the trees. In front of the Walmart.